you know goldenrod makes an excellent tea?
Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, dear Aaron.
Me. You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Tomic's veteran of the comic book industry for 30 years. I'm a writer, I'm an artist, and this sucks.
Tonight's episode, The Killin' Cousin.
Don't start! We haven't left yet!
Hey everybody, it's me, it's Aaron Live. It's what is the date? Well, I know it's Easter, the day we celebrate the death of Christ on the cross and his resurrection 3 days later for our forgiveness of sins and our salvation. So there you go. That was today. That's why I'm running late. We had some family over, a little celebration, a short one because my son and his wife seem to always be busy, but they did take a moment after church to stop by and hang out for a few minutes. And then I went on a field trip after that, and I'm going to share the exciting events of this field trip. But first, no Shelley today. She had thumb surgery on Friday, and they did like a nerve block on her arm. So she's feeling pretty good for about the first 48 hours or so. She's not feeling too good right now. It's starting to get a little sore. So she's, as she said, she goes, I still have the same hair I had on Friday. So she's not prepared to come live on camera, but she sends her love. So I will have a guest, Rob Machine Gun Hunter will be here at some point. I did get the alert that Ethan's streaming, so he's crushing my viewership, but that's all right because this is it's going to be such a great episode. People will come back later and watch us in reruns. But those of you who have made the trip here are dedicated to seeing Aaron live on a Sunday. Let's see and acknowledge you for joining me today. If this shoulder looks a little hunched, it's because I re-injured my shoulder. You know, the one I had surgery on 2 years ago, and it was just starting to feel good. And then we did all this stuff in the studio and moving furniture and stuff. I heard it again. I'm afraid they're going to say, oh, you need to have surgery again. I don't want to. But anyway, I have a brace on it right now to kind of one of those copper things that are supposed to like have magical, Doctor Strange type elements that help the pain and stuff. So does it work? I don't know. It's better than nothing, I guess. Anyway, enough about me. Let's talk about you guys. Aldion is here. Good evening, all. He says, I know for a fact that Leg Kick was the first one in the door last night, actually. So Leg Kick is here because Leg Kick is almost always here. Or at least he's not here yet, but he's here in spirit. And he was here earlier. Aldion, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. Kevin Thomas, he says, good evening, Aaron and Shelley. I'll pass on the love to Shelley. Hail Rob, hail Chat, Atari Force, Uranus. I think that covers everything. You might be not far off, actually, except for the Atari Force. It's covering nothing. Creative Faye is here. There's Leg Kick. Humphrey Bear, Randy Howell all the way from Canada. Citizen Ronan is here. Mr. Monkey Boy 1969. Paul Taylor, a resident biologist, is here. Skip Edwards. Mike McMahon. Mike says, yay, hello, Presti. Sunday is here. It is indeed. Anti-entity is here. Marcus Killigrew. Marcus, you're going to love what I have to show you today. Citizen Ronan, I already said that. Paul Taylor. Dan, the Pizza Man Genovese is here. Agent Zero has made the trip in. Thank you so much. Agent Zero, we already said that. There's the pizza leg kick. Skip Edwards, we already said that. Let me see. My Neon Todd Studio, there he is. Aaron in search of Bigfoot, always. And I have more unconvincing videos today for us to look at. Ronan's here, not Citizen Ronan, just plain old Ronan. H is for Heretic. Hey, Lopez. Hey, H, thanks for joining us. Alex, VRB is here. Marcus says, I've had hand-thumb surgery and it is no fun. Please heal fast, Shelley. I will, again, spread the good cheer towards her, from you guys to her, is what I'm trying to say. There you go. Share this stream on social media. Defeat the evil that is EVS streaming about Bud Light. Oh, man. We're a quieter, more gentler crowd around here. We're more interested in Bigfoot than we are on some guy dressing up like a woman selling Bud Light in his bathtub. Anyway, so there you go. David Alicia is here. He says, hola. Hola, David. Thank you. Let me, now that I've got your attention, let me run this quick public service announcement because it is very important. That's right. Like and subscribe, all 25 of you, and the other 125 that should be watching are over on Ethan's channel right now. But if you're watching this in reruns, hit the like and subscribe because, gosh darn it, it just helps the channel grow. It makes me feel better about myself, and I appreciate it very much because I'm providing you content like no other. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying it's like no other. But anyway, Shelley's not here. But I'm going to bring in our guest right now so I can have kind of a co-host. We can kind of talk about his journey, why we should be interested in it. And I'm kidding, of course. I'm talking about my old friend from CrossGen Comics. He's Rob Machine Gun Hunter. Don't ask me why I call him that because I don't know. I just do. And he has a new campaign called Death Raider. Everybody put your hands together for Rob. There he is. Hey, Rob.
Dude, what's going on?
Hey, man. What a day I've had. I'm going to show some. I'm going to show some stuff that's going to blow your mind, man. I went on a little field trip. Do you remember that? I don't know if you ever went. I know Ron Mars and I went, but they had someplace in Florida called Mosey, right? It was the Museum of Science and Industry. And they had like a big Titanic exhibit there while we were during our CrossGen days. Any of this ring a bell, Rob? Remember Florida? You and me?
No. I do remember Florida. I still live. I do remember. I just don't remember you guys. I don't remember the invite.
Well, maybe we didn't invite you. I'm just saying that maybe it got talked about a little bit. I don't know. But anyway, we have what we call here in the Portland area, OMSI, which is the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry. And I've been there today. They had a Marvel exhibit, and you think, oh, who cares about that? Dude, when I show you some of the stuff they had. So really? We'll get to that. Yeah, it's very, very cool.
Kind of bummed. There's no Marvel exhibit when I went.
What's that?
I said it's kind of bummed there was no Marvel exhibit when I went there.
Well, I expected it just to be all kind of like, dumb superhero stuff with, some statues and kids interactive things. My son was there yesterday and he texts me and he goes, oh my gosh. And he starts sending me pictures and I'm like, hey, thanks for the invite, dude. But I guess he was on a double date with his wife and some other, I'm like, you couldn't just have me meet you there, so I had to go today by myself because it was the last day. So,
oh, dude, that sounds so sad.
I know it is, but oh my gosh, so I got pictures. I got pictures
Okay.
that will blow your mind. Okay, but first, we have a system of things we do on this show, Rob. And
Okay.
one of them is look at really dumb videos that probably I only like, but we're going to do it anyway. So,
I'm ready.
are you? Do you have
I
any
am.
sort
I'm
of-
ready, dude. I'm ready. I'm psyched.
Do you have
And
any
fast.
appreciation for Bernie Wrightson?
Of course I do.
Well, okay, then you'll like this. This is what we call our Wrightson image of the day. So, like they say on TV, watch your monitor. You know what I always find amazing when I look at something like, Wrightson's work or something like that piece there? We of the modern age of comic creators, we're so uptight about our line quality and everything while we're inking. And that stuff is so loose, and yet it's
Yeah.
so effective, and just conveying, mood, and it's not about this sort of like how perfect is each line, but it's where he's putting the blacks and where he's leaving the lights. And I don't know. I think sometimes it maybe we're like too focused on the minute detail and we miss the big picture sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, we are. We are going so far in the technical range because it's competition. I got to be better than the next guy, or I can't sell the artwork. I got to be better than the next guy, or my book won't get bigger, or blah blah blah. That we miss the pieces that are supposed to be about storytelling, and it's supposed to be like, this is what you can do in a given time. And as the market shrinks, then the niche stuff gets more tighter and a little crazier. Because think about it. Think of what Wrightson would do. Wrightson would spend forever doing the Frankenstein plates, and then he did the Punisher, or the Punisher and the Cult stuff, which was like his layouts practically.
Yeah.
And to him, he's just like, that's what the job called for.
Yeah.
And then on his own, he would paint some amazing paintings. And, can you imagine what if like Dave Finch did a project like The Cult, where he was like really super loose and rough? People would be like, what happened to Finch?
Yeah.
People would they'd be flipping out. They're like, they'd put it back on the shelf. They're like, I feel like I just got ripped off. Instead of appreciating the storytelling and all that other stuff. Where Wrightson, he could do that. Like The Cult is one of my favorite comic books, even though it's weird, it's strange, it's not rendered, it's not crazy rendering that Wrightson would sometimes do. But dude, there's something about the attitude and the atmosphere of that book.
Starlin wrote that, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah. I'm a big
I remember
Starlin
when that
fan.
came out. Yeah, and then he followed that up with a Punisher thing too. They were all like prestige format. Really nice stuff. Okay, one other thing. Now, I probably should have warned you, and I didn't. So my mom would always say, or maybe it was my teacher in class, I can't remember. When you brought snacks in or something, they'd say, "Did you bring enough for everybody?" Right. Well, I probably should have warned you. We always snack on this show, right? It's like it's a major thing because they say don't eat on camera. So I'm like, okay, that's exactly what I'm going to do then. Piss people off by eating on camera. So let's do this. Let me run this little intro.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Now, is there anything better than Raisinets? They're chocolate covered raisins. They're sweet. They're chocolatey. They're chewy. I mean, it's the ultimate treat. So I've got a few Raisinets here that'll be popping in my mouth and smacking on throughout the course of this show. And I apologize to everybody that finds that to be rude behavior, but that's how we roll around here, man.
Dude, this isn't cool. You didn't warn me, and I forgot to eat dinner. So, so now I'm going to watch you eat candy. How dare you?
Mm,
Hey, Andy didn't warn me about this part. This part,
yeah,
Lopez.
I should have let you know, and I forgot about it. But most people are not as rude as I am and feel comfortable eating on camera. So, anyway, got a lot of people saying they backed Death Raider.
Awesome. Thank you
Alex
very much.
VRB says, I backed Death Raider before it was cool.
Wait,
Marcus Killigrew, I backed Death Raider, and so should everyone else.
when did Death Raider become cool? That's my question.
Alex says, anyone mind if I take off my pants? As long as we don't have to see it, Alex, feel at liberty to, do what you want there.
Yeah, Alex can just DM me those photos if he needs to. I'll be super positive about it. Be like, impressive. Good quads, good strong legs.
Excellent.
Handsome knees.
Look at this. Here's a guy named Lizard Sauce in the Berg. It says, awesome. I'm sure he's referring to the Wrightson piece. That Wrightson piece was interesting in that it had Kane from the House of Mystery, Abel from the House of Secrets, and then threw in the old witch from EC. It was like a weird combo, But
do you think it was a commission?
I think it was probably for a fanzine, 1972 would be my guess. Because I don't know that commissions were that big of a deal back in the day,
Oh, do you think people must have had must have commissioned Wrightson though, right?
Well,
like contact him and
he did
here's this pile of money.
He did this huge Color of the Creature monster coloring book. Okay, it was like this big, and it's like a black and white portfolio of just great art.
Yeah,
and people would come up to him at conventions like Phil Souling's in New York, and they would, they buy the original art, and then some people would actually commission him to like hand paint them for him. And so some of those are floating around, the ones that are hand painted by Wrightson. But I think most of the commission stuff they picked up was at conventions. It's so easy now to email somebody, right? And to contact them, go, hey, can I get on your commission list? But I think back in the day, unless you somehow got a hold of their address, certainly not their phone number. I don't know. Maybe you looked them up in the yellow pages, go, Bernie Wrightson, I'll give him a call. But my guess is they picked that stuff up at conventions and got their, But I don't know. I don't know how much of that stuff was done. Like, I don't think it was quite the market for it as there is now. How, there's just, tons of people looking for commissions all the time.
Yeah, and the time period when maybe Wrightson would do that would be the time period when the massive royalty checks were around. So he wouldn't do it. He'd be like, why would he do a commission where he could just draw a story and, see a fat royalty check? So,
Well, yeah, you're talking about the late 80s, early 90s.
Early 90s.
I'm talking about in the 70s, when he was like the guy.
Yeah. Well, well, here's the thing. I was before I got into comic books and drawing, I was a art collector. I was like 19 or whatever, so I didn't have a ton of money. But I got like the Mitch Eikowitz original art catalog and stuff like that. And I remember as I would chase artwork or chase just the idea, like I was very interested in it, that Wrightson was one of those artists that was always wanted. It was always all of those art dealers, one of their big wants was Wrightson, Starlin, Kirby. So from that perspective, Wrightson was always a big deal. And that was, that was late 80s, early 90s.
Well, right. But that was because the legend was already there because of the Frankenstein stuff and stuff. But in terms of being he was in demand, legendary, kind of like Golden is, now it shows or has been for the last 15 years. But when those guys were doing the studio back in the 70s, Wrightson, Kaluta, Jones, Barry Smith, they would like go to cons and they were like the rock stars of that. They were the image guys of the 70s, right? And that would have been the time to get, when they're all doing they were young and they're all energetic and doing their best work. That would have been the time to get a commission. But, I would think you would have had to track him down at a show to kind of line something up like that. But
I have another artwork question for you. Have you ever seen any of that? You know how they before the digital art became prevalent in movies, have you ever even seen any of the paintings, like the background, like a Star Wars painting and stuff like that? I imagine that I've never even seen any of those, like the originals, like in museums or whatever.
Are you talking about like in person? Have you seen them?
Yeah. Or even heard of someone who actually collects those. Like the guy has so much money, he's not collecting, he's buying, you know, because all of those, what do they call those? I'm
Production artwork?
yeah, there's a name for, not storyboards, the actual paintings that they would do, you know, because how in the sci-fi stuff, if they weren't using a model, someone
Dude, are
actually
you talking
would.
about like matte paintings and stuff for the background?
Yes, matte paintings.
Dude, when we were in film school, we would go. First of all, let me read this. Even Dale Keown was impressed by the art on Death Raider. You'll be kicking yourself if you don't get a copy.
Oh, thank you very much.
People pumping you up, man. That's good stuff. Randy Howell says, back Rob Hunter's Death Raider on Indiegogo. Let me say before I tell this story, Rob and I both have campaigns, obviously. Death Raider, and we're going to talk about that extensively here in a little bit, but the link to his campaign is in the description of this video, along with the links to Wraith of God, Second Chance, Wraith of God #1, Second Chance, second printing, and Wraith of God Blood Hunters. Both those links are in the description of this video as well. When we were in film school, we used to be able to, it was pre 9/11, obviously, you know, mid to late 80s. We would just drive up to like Universal, for example, and show them our USC student ID cards and say, hey, we're film students. We're here to pick up stuff from the prop department. And they would just let us in. And we'd park my truck, and then we would just walk around, you know, hit the sound stages and stuff like that. And then eventually make our way over to the props. And they had all the old props and costumes, and they had like stacks of leaned up against the wall, these huge background paintings like that they had used in whatever, you know, like it'd be like trees and a meadow and things like that they would use for backgrounds, probably, you know, in the 30s and 40s, you know, but it was just sitting there. You know, it was amazing, you know, and they don't think anything of it. And we're like going, oh, you know, was that in Star Trek, you know?
Yeah, I can't even imagine like some of the Star Wars scenes, what those are worth. You know, the places where they didn't use a model, but they painted in the Death Star, or you know, any of that stuff, like Jabba's palace and stuff of that nature. I imagine that for the really high scale collectors, that's got to be a really big deal.
Yeah, well, a lot of that movie stuff ends up in Heritage, and you know, goes for huge money. I remember watching, they had like a Star Trek memorabilia sale at Heritage, and it was on TV. I don't know what it was, on the Discovery Channel or something, but they had like the models, these giant models from like Star Trek 2 and things like that. And these guys were just
like 4 feet long, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or 6 feet long. They're massive.
Yep. And they're paying 50 grand. And I'm like, where did that guy with his Bud Light, speaking of Bud Light, we were earlier, where did that guy get 50 grand to drop on, you know, this, you know, Enterprise or something? It was just crazy, but it was cool. I mean, I was like, yeah, if I had 50 grand to blow, I'd do it. Kevin Thomas said, didn't DC have an old witch in one of their magazines? They did, the Witching Hour, but that was not who we saw in that drawing of Wrightson earlier. That was the old witch from EC. I'm quite sure of it. So, because the old witch from Witching Hour had a hat. She actually had a classic, you know, the old witch look that we're used to seeing. So Wrightson sparked a lot of interest in the chat today. How about that?
Oh yeah, I met Wrightson a couple of times at Ithacon.
He forgot me every time I met him. It was very depressing.
Oh, I liked it because he would choke fans in photos and stuff like that. It was fantastic. He was very.
Dude, I've been to dinner
friendly
with the guy, and he never remembered me the next con.
Oh,
it was sad. He was my hero.
Made me cry. Terrible, Lopez. Did you
finally
cry in
gave up
front of
on
him, or did you hold it? Did you hold it and wait until you got to
I held it, and I walked away the last time saying, I'm done with this guy.
Yeah.
This is like the 5th or 6th time I've had to introduce myself to him, and he has no clue who I am. Just, you know, come on, where's the professional courtesy where you walk up to somebody, you turn your name tag around, you know, to make sure they can read it. You start talking to them, and they're just like, yeah, okay, see ya. And you're like, and then I just shuffled off with my head down.
I talked to Art T-Bear for 20 minutes at Kansas City Comic-Con. And then the first time I was on his live stream, he's like, "No, don't remember you at all." I'm like, there was nobody at that show. Like, it wasn't like you were like everyone was being crushed by so many fans, you know. And I'm just
Look at this. Aaron's tears are in a jar on the Universal lot.
oh.
Paul Taylor says Aaron being crushed made him stronger mentally. I don't know. That may
You
be
would
true.
think, or it just made him more fragile.
Oh, look at this.
You know?
The best way to get rid of someone is pretend you don't know who they are. Well, it worked.
That would be fantastic. Like every time, just pretend. Like,
Oh, here comes that little Presty guy. I act like I don't remember him. Maybe I'll leave. Oh gosh.
Like,
it was such a right and honk too. It was just like it's like devastating, you know. But
did you buy him dinner?
No, because we were at no. The shows I was at, whoever was hosting the shows was buying dinner.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
I was along for the ride. I was like, "You're taking Rice into dinner? I'm coming too, right?" All right, you know. And then I would go.
I've never had that experience when I was at a con. I'm like, I can't believe I got a plane ticket out of this guy. I don't even try for dinner.
Dude, getting back to old man Art to Bear for a second. The first time we he ended up inking me on a few jobs over at DC.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to him here and there at cons over the years. So, he knew me and I knew him. And so I was like, "Hey, Art, you remember you?" Because he's like, "Oh, I've always wanted to ink you." That's what he said. "I've always wanted to ink you. This is a great opportunity, blah, blah, blah." And I go, "Well, you did ink me. Don't you remember that we did this giant sized Dr. Doom X-Men annual back in, 96, I think it was." And he's like, I go, "Don't you remember that?" He's like, I'm like, "Shut up, man." So
dude, he had so many pages going through Hack Shack Studios at that
I know
time.
that's probably true. He's like, yeah, he probably didn't even ink him. He had like his assistants doing it, and he was like, "Oh yeah."
He inked the heads and the hands.
Yeah, exactly. The heads and the hands.
And maybe the hair. If you're lucky, he also did the hair.
Exactly. Oh, Neon Todd said Studio says, "Yeah, but that's Art. We have to make allowances for him." It's true. And Randy Howell, was Art sober? That's a good question. Okay. So I want to get a little background on you, and then we'll go visit your campaign.
Okay.
Let's see, I didn't know, I wasn't aware of you until we met first at CrossGen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, tell me about your professional life, or was there one before CrossGen, and what prompted you to go to CrossGen?
Oh, dude, first off, how dare you think CrossGen was my first work? I mean, you remember Bobby C? Do you think Bobby C would have been someone who just showed up and first gig was CrossGen? No, I was already jaded. So first I was at Marvel, and I got to when you're brand new and you don't realize how lucky you are on some things.
Mm-hmm.
I was working out of the X office. And that was like my early stuff at Marvel was out of the X office. Because Bud Rosa was inking so much stuff that if things got a little haywire with one of his deadlines, Skraus would want to turn in those last couple of pages of a book, and Bud wouldn't be able to ink them. So I would always get "Hey, do you want to do 3 pages over the weekend?" And FedEx them out Monday. So I got to do that. And you know how it starts, as you just do a couple of pages here, a couple of pages there. And then they let you do, more pages, half an issue. And then you get to work on the fill-in issue. That's kind of how it worked, where and it also really helped that the editor who was leaving, the new guy came in, and the new guy's like, "Oh, I guess this is Rob Hunter's the guy that we sent pages to when you need help." So I mean, it was perfect for me.
Okay,
so that was a big part. Yeah, big part of it was Marvel. I had done a bunch of stuff at Marvel, and then
but you weren't on a regular book. You were just kind of
no, I was.
Is you regular on X-Men?
No, I was a regular out of the X office, like I did X-Men Unlimited. They were throwing me a bunch of X stuff.
Yeah, but you were on a monthly. You were on a monthly
Iron Man. I was on Iron Man before CrossGen.
Oh,
and before, yeah, and
who was penciling that?
And I did Gambit and then Iron Man. So I launched Gambit, and then I went to Iron Man after that.
Who was
'Cause,
penciling Iron Man when you were inking it?
The first 6 months were glorious. It was Sean Chen.
Oh,
And while Sean was on Iron Man, I never ever heard from Bobby Chase. But when they brought in a new girl because she was Joe Quesadilla's old assistant, all of a sudden I was getting all this input on how I was supposed to be inking her. And but I was talking to her like every couple of days, and she's like, "Hey, I really like what you're doing." I think the problem is that they didn't see growth in her pencils because I was just kind of making up the difference, and they didn't want me making up the difference. They wanted her to take her stuff to the next level. But the whole time she was working on her pencils, she talked about how much more money she would make painting. So
who
it
is
was kind of
this?
like Aletha Martinez.
Never heard of her.
Yeah, she had a lot of different opportunities going on while she was at Marvel. And I think she had already seen how much Joe Quesada would pay himself for his pencils on Marvel Knights. So she saw that there was a lot of money in comic books, unless if you're a somebody, but if they don't think you're a somebody, then you get paid piddly. So why should
Right.
she? You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I could see she kept getting better, but at the same time, I think there was a weird, like, hey, she could take it or leave it, but it's nice to have a regular check. And so she didn't mind if I was, trying to jazz up her pencils. And Quesada and Bobby Chase are like, why is he doing this to her pencils? Why is he adding the juice? She's a brand new penciler. She should be adding her own juice to the pencils. So
Well, were you spicing up Sean's work at all, or were you inking it just like he does it? Because he has a very sort of open style. Not, I mean, you're very flashy. Your inking style very X-Men, very imagey.
yeah. To
So
get the job, I was very conservative inking
okay.
Sean. But as soon as I got the job, I was like, Sean, your stuff is super stiff. You need this bouncy line to make it livelier.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exactly what I did. So as soon as we were the regular guys, I was the regular inker. I tried to juice his stuff up too, and they didn't have any problem because it was Sean.
Yeah,
because he had already made a name up for himself on Iron Man.
right. Well,
So.
what you inked a few pages of mine over at CrossGen on the last couple issues of Mystic, and that's what I told you. I said, juice these up, baby, do your thing, and that was really cool because because the way you ink it, it's very Danny Mickey like, and it's like Danny always brings something extra to the table that's not there in the pencils, and it's like I don't do that when I ink myself. So it was like I wanted you to kind of bring in some Italian zest onto my pencil.
Oh.
And that looked really cool because I have a great appreciation for that. If it's well done and you're getting something that you can't or don't do yourself, it's really cool to see. As long as I always told inkers, I don't care what you do as long as it looks good when you're done. And sometimes I got stuff that looked really good and sometimes I didn't. But that's more a thing of you have to have an inker that has a solid aesthetic that really understands what looks good and what doesn't look good. And so then you can let them go nuts on your pencils and it's still going to come out, Matt Banning's another guy who's like that, he can bring some stuff to the table and it looks really, really cool. So why then, what was so great about the CrossGen offer that you thought, well, I'm going to leave Marvel behind and go do this?
They fired me off of Iron Man, so I can actually have regular work.
That'll do
they're
it.
like, they replaced me with Mark Pennington on Iron Man, who does the exact opposite.
Who went to CrossGen too?
Yes. So I needed work, and I did a fill-in issue for him, and they're like, and I did the same thing where I was really conservative on the inks over who's the Italian guy?
The guy who draws like Buscema?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm blanking on his name. So
I've seen stuff from him for a long, long time. The chat will know. Marcus Killigrew, you must know who we're talking about. He did that great Silver Surfer miniseries or something early or mid '90s or something. It was just mind blowing. It was like
Andreas.
No,
and Andrea DeVito.
Oh, that was the guy. No. I'm thinking of.
No, you're thinking of Castellini.
That's what I'm thinking of. Castellini. Yeah.
No,
So you had
I got to take his assistant.
Did
DeVito
DeVito
was his
end up at
assistant.
CrossGen too?
Yeah, you don't remember him?
Yeah, that's why I was like, wait a minute. All these guys that you worked with ended up at the people that replaced you and the people you worked on all ended up at CrossGen. What the heck is going on?
No. That's when I inked him. I inked him at CrossGen.
Oh, okay.
They CrossGen brought me in to ink him.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah.
All right.
But they didn't tell me that they had an agenda. They wanted me to ink his outlines conservative so he'd be happy, but they wanted me to juice his interiors. Yes, Claudio Castellini. And I've never been able to do that. If I have to be conservative on the outline, I'm going to be conservative on the interiors. I don't know why. It's a weird mental block. It's like I get bored and my brain goes into like a shift.
Yep.
So, but so then I was at CrossGen.
Okay, so basically, so did they fire you off Iron Man because they didn't like what you were doing over this girl that was penciling it? Or was it something else? Okay.
Yeah, and I wasn't smart enough. I wasn't cued into the professional field enough to realize just say, hey, well, what do you want? And I'll just ink it the way you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, I was unemployed too. That's why I ended up at CrossGen. I love how everybody always tells these stories when we were at CrossGen. It's like, yeah, I thought this was a great opportunity. That's why blah, blah. And I'm like, you couldn't get any work. That's why you're here. No one packs up their stuff and moves cross country to Florida to work for a startup company that you only have hopes it'll last if you don't have to. We were all there because we had to be there for one reason or another. I will say we all ended up doing our best work of our careers were at CrossGen though, and helped us catapult us to other stuff after that. So it was a good investment.
Yeah, it really was. Well, Mark Alessi promised me 2 years, and that's exactly what I got out of CrossGen was 2 years. I told Shelley before we moved, I said, if we get, that was the exact same thing I said, if we get 2 years out of this, we'll be lucky, but at least it's 2 years and we'll go from there, and that's exactly, like you said, that's exactly what we got was 2 years by the time. It's almost on the nose, you can almost predict it. So, but we had, I mean, it was nice. I didn't like the fact that the lights were turned off all the time. That drove me nuts. Because of all the computer colorists, it was easier for them. But I'm like, okay, what of us that have to draw? Are you kidding me? But I mean, to clarify, we had lights on our drafting table so we could see, but the whole place was dark other than that. And it was like, I don't know. Gloomy. Yeah, it was a little gloomy.
And
they couldn't keep the morale up either because we were all from the comic book field. So we saw how poorly the book sold. Like you can't, it doesn't matter. Unless the boss is handing out, gold bricks because he's so damn rich, we're just knowing it can't last forever. Like everyone's just sitting there going, I hope this lasts 20 years. I hope this lasts 20 years.
Yeah, and
the whole time we're like, it's not going to last 20 years. I'm like sitting there going, I have friends for the first time. This is great. I'm going to work with people who I only annoy a little. Or maybe only half, 50%. We're going out to lunch. We're having fun. We all get stuck together at the convention stick. So
you got weekends off.
It was a nerd fest. It was a nerd fest that we got paid for.
Yeah. So. But because they were giving us all these extra benefits. Like the vacation, paid vacation, health benefits. We were all on salary, whatever we were able to negotiate. And it's like, you just kept thinking, these books are selling less than 20,000 a copy. Where's this money coming from? And
they're just bleeding cash.
Yep.
Bleeding.
But it was a good time. Socially, it was a good time. And we put out great work. We did put out great work. We really, really did.
There's something about having to do 5 pages a week like that. And at the same time, knowing I have to sit at the table. I have to be here till at least 5:30, 6 o'clock. Well, let me see if even if you have a raging headache, you're like, maybe I can just muscle through it till 6:30 and know I can just go home. The rest of the day is mine.
Yep. Yeah. And guys like Jimmy Chung, got his start there, and he's like a superstar. And oh gosh, I can't believe we used to work on it, huh?
McNiven, were you going to say McNiven or?
Well, McNiven was too, and then
Yeah,
Mike
yeah.
Perkins, who's doing quite well for himself, was an anchor.
Yes.
Started out as an anchor over Butch Geist there. But I'm thinking of Steve. He did the
Steve Epting.
Epting. Thank you. I
Yeah.
couldn't think of his last name. He kind of was like, kind of came into CrossGen as sort of a journeyman at Marvel, and he came out of there like a rock star and hooked up on Captain Marvel, and of course created the Winter Soldier, or co-created the Winter Soldier, and had I don't know what he's doing right now, but he had a great run at Marvel there for several years.
Yeah.
And so I was at Marvel for 5 years after CrossGen. I couldn't get a sniff before that. And well, that's not true. I was supposed to be the next great X-Men artist, and then Ethan Van Sciver got my editors fired, and then I had nothing, and that's when I ended up at CrossGen. It's amazing how you go from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the valley in like 24 hours. It was remarkable. I had editors going, "We love what you're doing. We're going to make you the next big X-Men artist." I mean, they actually said those words to me, and then they got fired a week later, which I found out years later was Ethan's doing, because they had messed with him, so he messed back with them, and ended up they got him fired. But so that's how I ended up at CrossGen. I had nothing going on. They're like, "Hey," I played hardball negotiating my salary with them. Like, "Oh, I don't need to move all the way to Florida. You're going to have to pay me this. My wife's going to have to quit her job and blah, And they did. And I really enjoyed the time there. I did. And was able to really, you kind of got focused and said, you know what? Because we knew, like you said, if we got 2 years, we were lucky. So we were all just like really trying to do the best work we could, because we knew this was our new portfolio to get back in at Marvel or DC once CrossGen went under. And it worked out for a lot of us, that we are able to, reestablish our careers and do some pretty good stuff, for the next, almost 20 years.
I wish you had told me that. I would have worked a lot harder, so I would have my portfolio pieces already. No one told me, man, this really isn't going to last more than 2 years, Rob. Make sure you're doing your absolutely best work.
Well, you were on the ends, though. When Bart Sears' brother came in and was handling the accounting, he was feeding us information, and you were in that group. Because we moved over to...
They didn't tell me that. They only told me a little bit of it, because Bobby C is a very angry man. So they would only tell me little pieces, little chunks.
Well, no, weren't you over in the lit room? I was.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's where you, me, Jeff Johnson, Andy Smith, and
we all hung out.
Was it Drew Geraci was over there? I think that was it.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. There was just like the 4 or 5 of us. Yeah.
And we were getting information that nobody else was getting.
But I still, they didn't tell me all of it.
Well, maybe that's because Andy was like, "Don't tell Bobby, his head will explode."
Yeah. He's already miserable because he can look at this comic book and go, "This book is shit. What did they do?"
You were.
I'm just like, this is so terrible.
Now that I think about it, you were pretty miserable. That was kind of funny.
I mean, I had fun, but I could look at something and go, "This is like a C- at best. What are you guys doing?" You could easily bring it up to a B+ with like 2 minutes of conversation.
Man, I was all over Mystic. I was all over Matt Ryan. I was all over who was the guy that colored Mystic? Had the shaved head. He actually did a lot of coloring for Marvel, and so I don't know what he's up to now. Oh, I can't think of his name. But I was like on those guys all the time, just going, "Hey, we need to do this. Let's do this. This will make this better if we do this."
Yeah.
Because I really wanted the book to be spectacular. I wanted people to look at it and go, "Wow, this guy's really good. Why is he at CrossGen?"
You wanted the offers to start coming in.
I did, man. I was planning the minute I got in the door. I was planning to leave. So,
but I knew I had pieces, guys. Every page has to be a portfolio piece.
That's right.
Well, that's smart though. That's really smart.
Wait a minute. Here we go. Did I say Jeff Johnson? I meant Jeff Johnson. Did I say Jeff Johnson? I thought I said Jeff Johnson.
Oh, you might have.
Yeah, Jeff Johnson. I did. Hey, I did when Jeff Johns wasn't Jeff Johns yet. I did it was an Ultimate X-Men book that was like a giveaway, not a giveaway, but you had to order it through Wizard Magazine. It was a Wizard Magazine exclusive, like 15-page book or something. And Jeff Johns wrote it.
Oh,
I drew it. Danny Mickey inked it. It looks awesome. And
I bet it does.
That was one of the things that got me in really good at the X office. And then I did like 3 issues, I think, the Mark Morales inked, and those looked really great because Mark's a great inker.
Yeah, he
And I
is.
bled on those pages, right, to prove myself. And that's when they were like, "You're great. We're gonna make you the blah blah blah," and then fired out the door. It's tragic career,
Dude,
man.
that's what comic books are like. That's
I
that's
know.
probably the greatest downside to comics is you seriously can be like at the top of your game, at the top of the roller coaster. Like you're like, I can't believe how great things are. In the back of your head, you're like, oh, dude, in a month it could be all over. And
And usually it
happens
is.
just like that, just because of someone's opinion. Someone changes their opinion, like I don't like this guy anymore, or
Yeah.
I like this guy. Look at that guy's the new shiny new toy for the company.
Mhm.
And
It's so true. And it's
Yeah.
like the movie industry. You know, you can have a script sitting there on an executive producer's desk. They are ready to it's been green light, they're ready to go, and then that producer gets fired, and it's new
Yeah,
guy comes
everything
in,
is-
doesn't want any of the old stuff. They only want new stuff that they discovered, and you're out the
Yep.
door. So,
Yeah,
and it's the
just
same
ask-
way in comics, just not as
Yeah,
much money's involved.
ask Henry Cavill about it.
Yeah, exactly.
He was gonna. They're like, oh, he's gonna be the Superman with the Discovery. We just signed him to a new contract, and then 6 months later, he's trying to be nice about it on Twitter, how he's not going to be part of the Superman.
I know, crazy.
He must have had a kill fee though, right?
You
If
would
he signed a
think
new
so.
contract, yeah. Those guys
My
are
homie
crazy.
Ellie Munoz says Sherlock was Ruse, right? One of my
Yes.
favorites, but too bad Mark Waid went nuts. That was a good book. Now see, Wade was gone by the time I got there. The whole thing where he punched a hole in the wall or whatever he did, or broke the glass in his office, whatever it was that he did.
Yeah, he punched a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
Well, he was Mark Waid. Mark Waid is because I know he's a big jerk now. The social justice.
Will Quintana. Was
Yes.
the
Yeah, he was a great color.
Daniel. Appreciate that. Anyway, go ahead.
I think they sold Mark Waid a bill of goods. They told him he was going to have a lighter schedule. He's going to be able to enjoy life. Hey, we're going to pay you all this money, and here's your responsibilities. And then as soon as they got there and they saw like the way the launch went and how much money Mark had already spent and how much money he'd have to continue to spend, I think they kind of all of a sudden they weren't going to treat Mark Waid like a diva anymore. And he's the kind of guy that if you don't treat him like a diva, he punches holes in walls. I'm not defending him. I saw how they did that. I saw how they would bring people in and go, oh, you're the second coming. You're the best. You're the greatest. And then they would just drop you in the chair and go, get to work, mofo. What are you doing? And you're like, what? What happened? You're like, hey, you got 5 pages to have done by Friday, dude. Because
you better get to work, buddy. Christopher Bouchard says, hello, Aaron and Rob. I backed Death Raider cover B. Cannot wait.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
Okay, so why don't we take a look at your campaign now that we got a little CrossGen background? But first of all, did you actually before that did you go from CrossGen? Where did you end up after CrossGen?
I went right back to Marvel.
Okay, so you went right back to Marvel, and then
Cap Falcon with Bart.
Okay. Oh, that's right. That's right. You were that was a cool book for a very
It was cool.
Time.
Unfortunately, we had been so spoiled with CrossGen, I couldn't make a deadline to save my life.
Oh, really?
Well, we started the book a month late, and I remember sitting at the
Bart
pizza
couldn't
place.
make a deadline either. So you guys, that was a bad combo.
No, so I remember sitting. You know the pizza place that was next to the comic book store?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sitting there with Mike Attia and Andy, and I'm shaking my head. I'm like, I go, this book is already effed. This book is effed. This is going to be a train wreck. And then 2 months later, the book is a train wreck. and Marvel, to be honest, Marvel had promised so many things to get Bart there. Like, we're going to do Wolverine. We're going to do Captain America. We're going to do Ghost Rider. No, maybe we're going to do Captain America. And then it ends up being a 4-issue Cap Falcon. And I think everybody was a little deflated, even though he did great work. Everyone was like, what?
Bart being pissed off about something about that.
Yeah. And then Bart, all those great shots of Captain America and most of those panels, he just drew those in because the story was so boring and had nothing to do with Captain America.
I remember him showing me pages going, yeah, he goes, I made this into a splash page because there's nothing going on. So I had to Who wrote that? Do you remember?
It's a guy.
Well, I assume
No. Yeah, I think he did some Black Panther stuff. He might have done the whole Wakanda story stuff. I'm a little confused. I just know that he wrote a superhero comic that wasn't a superhero comic. So, and then of course they brought Bart Sears in to be a superhero artist on a superhero comic. So yeah, like there's shots of like Captain America with it holding a shield, like a big side shot, wasn't supposed to be in the page. Captain America wasn't supposed to be on the page at all. There's lots of real, like everything that made those pages look awesome had nothing to do with the writer, and the writer hated that.
I remember those huge shots along the left-hand side of the full page shots of the character, and then all this, dialogue crap. And it was just like, I remember Bart saying, I had to do this, man. There's nothing going on in this story. I had to do something to juice it up, man.
Can you imagine if you're the writer though, and you think you're the shit, and then you get those pages?
Dude, they went through a period of time in Marvel about that time where they were hiring like playwrights and people to do comics. And you're just like, come on, man, seriously? I don't know what the thought process in Joe Quesada's mind was, but they were bringing in people that had never written comics before. And they were big names in other industries like TV or playwrights, but everything they wrote was so boring, and it was like, oh.
Well, I got to work on Iron Man that Joe Quesada was writing, and that was super boring.
Really? You would have
thought it was not only was it horrible, he had the run where he hinted for like 6 months the armor was going to become sentient, and then they just finished the story in one issue that made no sense, and then they moved on. Sean left, and the new artist Elisa Martinez moved in, and he didn't improve the story.
Priest, that's the guy. That's the guy.
Yes, yep, exactly. See,
Daniel Russell is full of information today. Anyway, let's now we're where we're at now, which is the Iron Age of comics and the independent journey and Comicsgate and all that kind of stuff. And along with that goes our projects. And let's take a look at what Rob is pushing today.
with a little luck at 6 months, it'd be like, what is Rob pushing?
Yeah, here we go.
I'll be like, deja vu.
It's Death Raider, the graphic novel by Rob Hunter. You should just put by Rob Machine Gun Hunter up there. That makes you sound cooler.
I know.
All right. So is this your first 30 days? You got 7 days left?
No, this is is it
Come
really
on,
7
guys.
days? I just looked at it.
Book.
It's at the end.
Book, man.
Yeah. See, I literally looked at it earlier today and it said 8 days left. So I'm a little confused. I guess it's because of when I started it.
Well, it doesn't go. They don't take into minutes or anything. It's like weird. If you're like 7 days and 23 hours, they'll say 7 days. It's just.
Oh. Okay.
Anyway, so
last 7 days. Yep.
Let's take a look. You got cover A. This is by you, right? The cover A is.
Oh, it's all by me. It's all
you.
People actually offered to do free covers, and I was just like, I'm like, dude, this is my first launch. I don't want to confuse people.
Confuse them.
Let it just be. It'll just be. There'll be no question. All the stuff is pencils, inks, and in the Great Domes by me.
I love this piece right here, man. You should make a T-shirt out of that. I mean, this is just freaking. This is like a heavy metal rock concert T-shirt type thing. It's like my Keon Werewolf shirt.
Yeah,
Probably a comic book shirt. It's like it's something you'd wear to a rock concert, and this is what this is, man. This. So anyway, give us the rundown, the elevator pitch. What's this about?
Well, it really is. It's a critically injured vet builds out the Death Raider armor to fight off, to one, get revenge for his team being killed, and two, to fight off an alien infiltration. I have to say extraterrestrial infiltration.
That's right. So we make sure we're clear on what you're talking about.
Exactly. Yes. And Randy Howell
Baron project. We got to make sure.
Yes. And Randy Howell, he was very specific. I'm like, why did Randy go with extraterrestrial? And then I'm like, oh, because I was saying alien infiltration or alien invasion, and that can be construed many different ways. So in the extraterrestrials, that is the Raycor Galactic Empire. So think of like like the Shi'ar or the Skrull Empire. So the Earth has been infiltrated for hundreds of years by them, and they've been manipulating things behind the scenes. And Staff Sergeant Moore is, on the prowl. He's fighting. He's killing all the Raycor spies he can get a hold of. So, and he has help from a hot chick, which is always great. Smart hot chick. She's not just hot.
Now,
she's a badass.
I got to ask you something here, just artistically speaking.
Mm-hmm.
When you put this much into the black and white work, and then you've got your tonal stuff in there as well, was there ever consideration that you're just doing this in black and white?
Because I am offering it in black and white, because a lot of people early on will,
okay.
Yeah. You can get the black and white printed book. You can get a PDF, it's called stripped. And that's because there will be no dialogue. It's going to just be the artwork. And part of that is because it's in a package, so they can read the story with the color and the first time around, and then they can go and just look at the artwork and nothing else, just the black and white artwork without the lettering in the way.
That's cool.
And even the campaign has been a little bit of the numbers have been a little bit of a bummer. So I have thought, because it's not like I'm going to stop. I still want to keep jamming because I'm having so much fun on these projects.
Right.
My next project might be black and white. I might just go straight black and white with it and see how the fans, what they think of that.
Well, if you look at this page right here, I mean, this could be, this could be Warren Magazine, back to the creepy and eerie days where they did the black with the ink wash, or this is marker, right? I assume.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
it's totally marker.
But I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, the effect is the same. Tremendous booty shot here on the left, but I can, you don't need to color this necessarily, because coloring is always sort of a, it helps because a lot of times a lot of people they're not doing this sort of tonal work, but everything's there. You could easily get away with a black and white book, and it wouldn't really feel like you were gypping the reader at all. I mean, just look at the detail and the tonal work in here. It's just tremendous, Rob. I didn't know you had it in you.
It takes an amazing amount of time.
I know. So how far along are you on this right now?
I think I looked, because people keep asking me that, and I say between 20 and 30 pages. I think I'm on page 26 now. But to be honest, I've got like 10 pages that I work on all, because it gets like tedious, just because I do pencils, then I do the gray markers, and then I do the inks. I do jump back and forth, because I've learned to pace myself a little bit with the gray tones and go, this panel doesn't really need me to pull up the photo reference. Let's just, let's have this look like a nice, fun comic book page, this panel at least, pick, like I have already taken a couple panels and was like, I'm going to try to do the photo reference on this, and then the other stuff, it's more of the, more like the tune-up cover, so, and then even to, help push the stretch goals, I even was like, hey man, let's get a hold of some merch. Let's do some Death Raider merch. I am trying to do everything and anything to get to those stretch goals, because I read the comments when I would watch live streams I wasn't on, and I would read the comments, the positive ones and the negative ones. People had complaints about the cost of shipping. They had the complaints about the cost in general. And they also had complaints about how long they had to wait for a project. So my stretch goals really are, if it won't hit 35K, but if it hit 35K, it was going to be monthly chapter downloads, so that people can't say, oh, hey, I saw, I bought Death Raider a year ago and I haven't seen it. When's it going to show up? They literally would be getting 8 to 12 pages every month, because I was trying to bridge the gap between what crowdfunding is and what Marvel and DC are.
Right.
So
Well, I think if you update people regularly, like on my first campaign, I updated every week where this is where I'm at, this is what I got going. Yeah, this time around, I'm about every 2 weeks because it's kind of like, well, okay, I've only progressed 3 pages. Why, I don't need to update every week, but at least every 2 weeks, so people know exactly where I'm at, and so that I think it makes people less anxious if they're aware of where you're at all the time. They're kind of going on the journey with you, so it's not like, I haven't heard from Rob in 6 months. Where's that book at? And it's kind of like they're there every week or every 2 weeks. They know exactly where you're at, and then they can kind of gauge their expectations accordingly. But yeah, this book should be doing better than it is. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a million reasons why anything doesn't do as well as you think it's going to, or things that you don't think are going to do well do really well. But you just keep, you keep out there like you're doing, and you keep pushing.
Oh yeah.
And it's going to be in demand, right? So you have time to make up and have a chance for people to discover it and it's amazing how many people probably are just completely unaware of it. We got the core group of chatters like you guys that are watching today, or the guys that are maybe, some of the people over on Ethan's channel right now, and they should be here, but that are aware of it, right? Because they're like hardcore comics gators. They do everybody's shows. They keep track of all this stuff. But then the casual fan, though, that's kind of in and out on social media. I had Wraith of God, the first one, was open for 8 months, I think, before it closed. And I went out, and I would have people going, "Oh man, I didn't even know this was a thing." I'm like, I've been pushing it 24/7 for 8 months, and you haven't heard of it, but it's amazing. It just takes time to get people, aware of stuff. And but I mean,
even sign up reflects that too.
Yeah,
the sign up turnout has been super low. So I realized that even doing the sign up in the fall through Christmas might have really helped the sign up numbers, but it didn't really translate into actually picking up the book. So I understand how many
people and a lot of, and on your first campaign, people are like, well, when am I going to get it? They'll wait until, that last couple of weeks where you say, okay, I'm on the last 5 pages, it's going to the printer in 2 weeks. Then you get a mad rush again, because now people think, okay, I'm going to get it. They believe they're going to get it, and then they'll jump on. So there's a lot of room, even though it's performing low right now, you still have a lot of time to get those numbers up, and you just keep doing what you're doing. And, I think more people hear about it, more people see the work, they're going to jump on, and we'll keep pushing you, Rob. We'll keep pushing you.
Oh,
but anyway,
that is so sweet.
This is a literally a killer campaign, you guys. So check it out. The link is in the description of this video. Go over there and back the book. I highly recommend it.
And honestly, I have no other skills. If you think, oh, I'm going to do this one book and disappear, dude, I've been a comic book artist for 30 years. I don't have any place to go.
Yeah, don't send Rob to Walmart. That's my position. When I fail, I'm going to Walmart as a greeter.
Dude, I've got a bad back. I couldn't do that. My back is my back is now perfectly formed to lean over a table and draw, but to stand straight up, nope. Lean over a table, yes.
People are saying refresh the page. Let's see. So we're at 12,686. Ooh, look at there. 12,710.
12,7. Fantastic.
Okay. You got another backer in there. Excellent. We'll come back and revisit this shortly, but we have other things to do on this show.
Wraithy. We've got
crazy things. Well, I don't really push. I probably should do a better job of pushing my campaigns on this show, but it seems so self-serving, which it is. But so I'll go by my campaign real quick, and then we'll get to some more fun stuff I have planned. Like, I want to show you guys my field trip today, but
well, dude, I really like your Western. I always wondered why Marvel or DC didn't do a Western in a mainstream superhero style, and then you did.
Well, I almost had this. I had Dan DiDio was interested in this at DC. We just never got around to working out the details because he was working on, Frank Miller came along and he was doing that stuff. And then I was working on whatever I was working on. And then before we ever got any of this kind of, figured out what we wanted to do with it, he was gone. And so, but it got close. Evil One for $5. Thank you so much, Evil One. He says, I just got back from seeing my recovering dad. Happy Easter to the chat and Loprestes and Rob too. Hope Shelley's arm is getting better. It is. Thank you. I'm glad your dad's feeling good as well. Thank you for the $5, Evil One. Appreciate it very much. Okay, this is Wraith of God Blood Hunters. This is my current campaign, well, one of two. Now, the interesting thing about this is two things. One, we're at 139,865. We get to 140, and you get the Dan Lawless trading card for free. So we're just like 3 orders away, actually, from probably getting there. The other thing is Dale Keown werewolf t-shirt. We were talking about the Death Raider being a rock and roll type t-shirt image. So is this, baby. Wear this to your favorite rock concert. This is back for, well, 2 weeks, but now it's probably about 1 week. I think next Friday it's done again. So, and then I got to get the orders in. So you guys, if you want one of these Keown shirts, order soon. Let me see what else. I wanted to announce our art contest winner. Now, I originally say in here that I'm going to do a trading card of this, but I may use it as a pinup in the book. I'm not sure. Anyway, you guys will get a representation of this image either in a trading card or actually be in the book as a stretch goal. It's for free. So this is tremendous work by, who did this? Adam. So I'm so bad. Adam Miller.
It's great, man.
I won my own art contest. I can't remember his name. Adam Miller did this. Apparently, he's going around winning other art contests too. So good for him. But
he's going to be doing his own book probably soon.
Yeah,
I can only guess that. That's the point of doing these art contests.
Right. Well, yeah, you get noticed, right? You get a little money because we have prize money here. This is the Simon Bisley cover, which the original art for this is now hanging on my wall. I got the frame for it, and it's very cool to have a Bisley hanging up on my wall, especially one of my own character. So you have 4 cover options here: the wraparound cover, the Tales of Suspense cover, featuring the Garbage Man and Nightclub. Those are 2 backup stories. Dan Lawless is coloring Garbage Man. Kelsey Shannon, also known as Bigfoot or the Skunk Ape, he's coloring the Nightclub story. And then, of course, there's Kit Carter's story in there as well. There's the tribute, Tomb of Dracula tribute cover is also available. So you have 4 cover options. Here's some interiors. These were by Gabe LTA. Gabe quit the book. So I hired Omi Remalente Jr., who's coloring the book now. And I've got some pages from him that I've got to send out on updates. I haven't done it yet and posted up here too. There's some Lawless Garbage Man colored work. He's coloring new pages as well.
Oh, that one page is cool as hell.
Thank you,
the
sir.
Splash, dude. I mean, this one's amazing for all the rendering you're doing, but the splash is kicking. Yeah, dude, especially with the lettering and the artwork. Yeah.
Fun stuff, awesome, man. This is what fun comics are like, right? I mean, this is what. And then check out the Nightclub story. I've got it. It's being inked by a surprise inker from the mainstream. No, I'm protecting him. He said, "I don't care. You can mention my name." I'm like, dude, no. I'll wait till the book comes out, and then it's going to be in the book, and you can all open the pages and say, "Oh, that's who it is." But look at this stuff. Great work there.
Oh yeah.
Great inking. I mean, I'm not saying great work by me, of course, I think it is,
no,
but,
dude,
but the inking is tremendous on this. Yeah. So we have a big giant elephant guy, and then he's, this is a big metal arm from a character called Metal from the Nightclub, and they mix it up on the next few pages, so it'll be good action, fun story. There's the Kit Carter page. You get 15 pages of this type stuff, which I pencil ink and probably will color as well. I colored this. I've colored most, like the first 8 I've done, and I've got 7 more to do. So I'll probably color them myself. Unless
I have a question.
Behind. Yeah.
Why are you including the other story? Are you including the other stories just to change it up, or because you do want to get like some feedback from the fans of the next project?
I've got a ton of IPs, and I want to get them out there. And the only way to do it is to run them as short stories and backups of Wraith of God. If I just did straight Wraith of God stories for, 4 or 5 issues, that's 4 or 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And then where's this other stuff gonna, fit in? So
Are you looking for feedback? I guess that was my question. Are you looking for feedback? If people go, oh, dude, Kit Carter, when are we going to see a Kit Carter book?
People have been bugging me for Kit Carter for 20 years. So
okay.
I'm not necessarily as much as I think going forward. I'm going to do more of an anthology type approach where you'll have like a Wraith of God lead story, then other backup stories from, and that way I can get my other characters in the little Prestiverse out there sooner than say doing their own 64-page book or something, right? And that way everybody kind of gets like a taste of what I've got. And then once all that stuff's out there, then you can start like you said, and all during that time you're getting feedback and, oh yeah, we want to see more Garbage Man, or we want to see more Kit Carter or whatever. But it's a way for me to get more stuff out there in a faster period of time, I guess.
Okay. Have you thought about like a Wraith of God, like one big book and then like a 20-page comic of Kit Carter? So you're literally selling 2 books at the same time?
I've got some ideas going back and forth, but it comes down to, this is 100 pages for 25 bucks. It's a tremendous deal. And, but it's so much work, right? And I feel like I want to get these books to the correct size that I can do 2 campaigns a year instead of 1 every 12 to 14 months. Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm starting to figure out ways to do that. And going forward, that's the plan. Richard Gifford says, hey, Aaron, Atari Force. Richard, yeah, when people do that, they're asking for this. And you got it. So there you go. We don't do Atari Force on this channel.
Wait a minute. Alo doesn't own Atari, so he can't do Atari Force.
I never was a big fan of like toy adaptations and game adaptations and comics. It just always seems so cheesy to me. Even though,
and why tell a mythology? You're going to tell a mythology to a big toy company that they can then use. Go, right. Hey, thanks for actually creating all the mythology for the movie. You will never see a nickel from.
That's right. What the hell is Atari Force? Exactly. That's my point. Exactly. Okay. So anyway, and I've also got this, which I want to show real quickly. Again, the big thing on this in the short term is these Keown werewolf shirts. They only got about another week. So if you haven't got one, you want to get one, or you have one, you want to get another, do it in the next week. Okay. And I want to point out one more thing I've got here.
Oh, yeah. You got to do the second printing.
Yeah, I've got a second printing campaign here.
There it is.
Now, this is the number 1, the Wraith of God graphic novel, 84 pages, the original, with a new cover. And it's pretty bare bones. There's not a lot going on here. You can get the cover in color, or you can get it in black and white. Now, the issue itself is still in color, but the cover is going to be virgin black and white. There's nothing covering up the artwork. So those are your 2 options. And you can also get there's some color artwork from the inside. You can get, there's the werewolf epilogue page by Dale Keown, but you can also get, I'm doing a print of the pencils, which is also really cool. It's like all 3 stages of Dale's work are just like so cool. Right. And so anyway, and this is going to be over in a couple of weeks. I may extend it a week because I'm going to be out of town the weekend this campaign's supposed to end. So I may extend it another week before then, but then it's going to the printer. So if you missed out on this, or if you just are a collector and got to have every cover, make sure you get behind this and back this. Again, of course, the links to all these campaigns are in the description of this video. Now, I got to, before we go on this like field trip journey I had, I have to show, there's Shelley over.
I'm hiding.
Shelley's hiding off camera, but she is here. But Shelley will appreciate this because, Rob, we promote education on this show.
Oh, Lord.
And,
why is that?
Huh?
Why is that?
We can see it.
Oh, my arm. Here we go.
Yeah, there's a shirt. Because education's important, and I have prepared. We've got a new segment now,
and I'm
Shelley.
a teacher.
And Shelley's a teacher. Shelley's a teacher. So we like to promote education. So I've got this new feature, and I want you guys to look close. It's not too long, but it's a short film So take a look at this and see what you think.
The James Webb Space Telescope has captured an amazing photo of Uranus. This new image shows Uranus's faint dusty rings in unprecedented detail. Uranus is unique.
Did you learn anything? Did you learn?
I learned a lot. A lot.
See,
It's a long story of.
I got to tell you, Geek Avengers sent me. It's a much longer video. Of course, I edited it for time constraints, but he's the one who hooked me up with that. We have this segment called Shelley Knows, and we go and find out what Shelley actually knows,
Which isn't a lot.
and we did one on the solar system, and the only planet in the solar system she knew was Earth and Uranus. She said every planet was Uranus.
Every planet Uranus.
And so now we got this. It's a running joke. On the show.
I thought the big
one. He sounds like my daughter. I learned how unfunny Aaron is. I'm hilarious. Okay, you're just too young to understand my advanced humor.
I thought we were gonna watch a video on get under your desk in case your country gets nuked. I really thought that's what it was gonna be, and then there'd be a big mushroom cloud cut.
No, that's a good idea. Maybe I'll do that. But
stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah, stop, drop, and roll. I did that before. I lit myself on fire leaning into a stove once, and my son is like, "Stop, drop, and roll! Stop, drop, and roll! Stop, drop, and roll!"
All right, I'm gonna go back to elevating.
Marcus Killigrew says, Shelley, I've had that cast on my right drawing hand twice. Ouch.
Ooh, that's a lot of fighting.
It's a grumpy bone they took out, but it's done.
Uranus definitely has issues with dust. Yeah, look at all that. Uranus is like a snowflake or a fingerprint. No two are alike.
Okay, good night, all.
Okay, well.
My Uranus has no problem with dust. I don't understand how that person's Uranus gets dusty.
I don't either. Paul Taylor, our resident biologist, says, I don't want to see Uranus. I liked how Dan Rather changed the pronunciation while his space probe was near it. He probably said Uranus, right? Which actually, that doesn't sound great either. No. Uranus?
Yeah, sounds like it's
like urine. No matter what you say, it's coming out as a human body part that we don't want to talk about.
No.
So,
maybe he gave it like a Uranus.
Uranus. Yeah.
Uranus. So that sounds like nothing.
Yeah, I don't think Pluto's considered a planet anymore, says Paul. And I think you're right. But didn't they give it planethood back? They took it away, and I think maybe they gave it back. I'm not sure. See, it's all about education on this show, Rob.
Yeah, and wait till Planet X shows up just in time to F us.
Good old Planet X.
You can have a video for 6 months before it kills us. Talking about Planet X.
Okay. Okay. Now, this is also goes along with the lines of education.
Oh.
I went to OMSI, the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry, earlier today to see this Marvel exhibit. And here's some photos from it that will blow your mind.
Dude, I've been waiting the whole time for it.
Look at this. This is an original. Yes, they were hanging on the wall. This is an Alex Schomburg original 1940s. This is probably 1941 or 42 Human Torch issue. Now the Human Torch, that was all like statted on there and glued on, but the rest of it is the original art. And Alex Schomburg, the artist that did this, he lived in Newberg, Oregon.
Oh, wow.
And I never knew it while he was still alive, or I would have gone out and bugged him.
Yeah.
So you can imagine walking into this exhibit, and it's a pretty elaborate exhibit, and cost $30 to get in. So I was hoping for some entertainment value. And
yeah, it's pricey. When my wife and I went years ago, it was pricey too. Do they still have the submarine there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody can go on it anymore though, but it's out there in the drink. It's still out there. So
yeah, I wanted to do that, but we ran out of time.
It's so small. It's claustrophobic, man.
Oh, well, yeah, it's a World War II submarine, right?
Yeah. I mean,
those are small.
Old. It's old and it's small. Back when people were much smaller. Okay, so
yeah, you mean less fat?
Yeah, well, not as. If you're in the service, I hope you're at least in reasonable amount of shape. Okay,
no, not anymore.
So this is in a glass case, is sitting right next to us. You guys, of course, will recognize this as Marvel Comics #1 from 1939. Up till about 1989, this was the most expensive comic book in existence, and then Action Comics shot past it. But of course, it has the first appearance of the Human Torch, the first appearance of the Submariner, and the Angels in it, and the Masked Raider, not to be confused with Death Raider.
There's a little bit of a difference, just enough for lawsuit.
This book in a 4.0, this is probably $100,000 would be my guess in a 4.0, somewhere in that neighborhood, maybe more. But it was a very, very rare book. And anyway, but Superman, of course, is much more significant. And so he gets the play now, but this book is still considered very rare and very sought after. Now, check this out. This is the oldest known existing page, or I should say, the only remaining page available or known to exist from Marvel Comics #1. And this is a Submariner story by Bill Everett.
Wow.
So that's one page of Submariner stuff from 1939. And to be honest with you,
what do you think that's worth?
Oh my gosh. Several $100,000, I would imagine. The interesting thing about this was the Submariner actually first appeared in Motion Pictures Funnies Weekly, which was a giveaway that they would print up and put in the lobbies of movie theaters. So, to get kids to, hooked on comics. Why they don't do that today is beyond me. Especially with all the superhero movies.
It's ridiculous. They're so cheap. They won't spend anything on anything anymore.
I know. It's crazy.
Except management. They'll spend money on the management. Did you, by the way, this is a little bit of a tangent. Did you ever go to the floor above the editorial floor, where the merchandising deals are made at Marvel?
Yeah, I mean, I was on. Are you talking about like when they were still in New York, right? Or I guess they are still in New York, but back
they're still in New York.
They had three floors. There was the editorial, then there was like accounting, and then there was, like you said, the other. I've been on them, but not just through it. You know what I mean? And not like hanging out or anything.
Oh, I made the mistake of getting the hitting the wrong button. So as soon as I stepped off the elevator and I saw how nice it was, I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't the Marvel I know. And I was just like, there was like a Thor hammer in a case. There was all these video games set out because at the time the arcade games were a bunch of different Marvel arcade games were out. And that's when I immediately realized I was in the wrong place because it was super nice. And just like, oh, there's where all the money is. All
yeah, the editorial office, man, they were pretty junky, stuff piled everywhere, couches with holes in them. Yeah,
shitty carpeting. Yeah. I'm like, oh wait, let me get back down to the real world.
But anyway, the interesting thing about this originally appeared in a black and white comic called Motion Picture Funnies Weeklies, and I can't remember off the top of my head. It was either 1936 or 1937, and then it was reprinted in Marvel Comics #1 in color for the first time. So technically, this is a first appearance, but really, if you get a copy of that Motion Picture Funnies Weekly, which is really rare, that's actually the first appearance of the Submariner. But so they had this page there, which I thought was pretty remarkable. Now check this out.
Why that was the first Marvel character, really, right? Submariner was the first Marvel superhero.
Yeah.
I wonder why I wonder why they picked him.
Well, I mean, Bill Everett came up with it, and so he was maybe. I mean, they weren't really even doing superheroes until 1938, so it even sort of predates. If my numbers are correct, it might have been 1938, but I think it was pre-Superman, and so you had these people that grew up reading pulp magazines, and they were sort of transferring those ideas into which became superheroes, and so, but why Submariner? Who knows? Only
is
Bill
Man
Everett
from Atlantis that type of character? Is he earlier than Submariner? Or
Man from Atlantis? That was a television show in the 80s. Come on, man.
No, I know, but that idea of someone who's swimming underwater.
I think that's a good question. I mean, again, you'd have to go back and peruse the pulps. I don't know, but this is certainly the first comic book character like that. Now, check out these ads that appeared in the Marvel comics during the war. These are Captain America stuff. I just thought this was a hoot, man. They had a big display, a lit up. These aren't the original pages, but I mean, they are copies of the original pages,
Mhm.
but they're not the originals. But they just had this Captain America display, and this is one of the things they had up, which I thought was pretty cool.
No,
That
that's
drawing
very
there,
cool.
the drawing there at the end on the right hand side, that's a pretty messed up face, man. He looks like the Red Skull with the Captain America mask on.
Yeah.
Like I might have had him redraw that before I went to the ad, but
They're just like, whatever.
yeah, whatever. It's done. Run it. Okay, now check this out. We're going to jump over to the Hulk exhibit. I'm going to jump around a little bit here. This is the famous Stranko. Sorry for the banding. I don't know, my camera and my phone was freaking out, I guess, because it was low light or something. I get some banding in some of these pictures, but this was the Hulk Annual 1968. Stranko did the cover for. One of the most famous and ripped off images or homaged images in comics. Now, they didn't like his version of the Hulk face, so Maurice Severin redrew it and they pasted it on there. This is Stranko's face. This is the close-up of it. Look at the whiteout on there. Yeah, right in here and stuff. But this face didn't make the final cut. Maurice Severin's face that she drew, not Marie's face, but the face that she drew, got pasted up on this, the final cover. I don't have this book. I want to get this book, but it pisses me off. It just went through the roof recently, and it went from being about a $350 book to like a $1,200 book, and I'm like, yeah, I ain't spending that much.
Why? Just because people realize it's kind of a key?
Well, and plus there was all that COVID money, and the economy was doing well, and so comics went through the roof, and now they're crashing again in the collector's market because everything was just inflated. Because now the economy sucks, and now no one has any extra spending money. So I'm waiting for it to come back down again to a reasonable price, and I'll jump on it.
We just need another COVID. Like bird flu.
No thanks.
You don't get outside, Alo.
No, check this out, man. Classic. This is these are all originals that are in this exhibit. So this is the cover to Avengers 57, first appearance of the Vision by John Buscema.
I know this cover. That's when you know that this is kind of seeped into the comic collecting pulp culture type of thing. When I know it, because I'm not not a huge fan of the older stuff, but I know this cover.
Well, and it's funny how many iconic pieces they had in this exhibit. They must have.
It's amazing.
They would have had to have contacted the people who own the original art and said, "Hey, do you mind if we, and then I'll have to insure it and get it shipped out there and framed under glass and protected so people don't run off with it."
Is it possible it's all just a couple of collectors?
Could be. I mean, they had the names. I wasn't really paying attention to who the owners were. I was just kind of looking at, because they had a plaque down below that said who penciled it, who inked it, what year it was, what comic it was from, and then from the collection of whatever. And the names didn't mean anything to me, so I was just like looking at the credit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Marcus Killigrew saying that's Buscema and George Klein was the inker on a lot of those Avengers books during that run. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe it. I walked up and I go, how the heck did they got that?
Yeah. For an exhibit, it's amazing.
Yeah. And then in the Hulk corner, now here we have Maurice Severin.
Is that that's not the first Hulk transitioning back to Banner image, is it? They did that all the time.
Probably for a cover shot. Yeah, this was, and don't use the word transitioning on this show. Makes me uncomfortable.
Did it that way on purpose.
Dude, look at all the paste up on this cover.
Yeah, I see it.
It's crazy. And this stuff was this was a stat, the Incredible Hulk logo and the Marvel box up there. The big premiere issue that was pasted on. Now, the head was another piece of artwork that was cut out of a board and glued on here, where it's really white and the other stuff is yellowing.
Yeah.
Yep. It was crazy how much
they didn't like the face. Didn't like the face. I don't know. They didn't like that hand.
Yeah. It's
right? Isn't that? Yeah. None of the faces, or the three biggest faces they didn't like. And then they also didn't like that big hand. Yeah. So they went back and redid it. You can see the little cutout where right here, look at that. This is all cut out
and pasted on the back. Like they cut out the top artwork and then from behind they glued on this, or they glued it. Maybe that was on over the top there. Look, you can just, there's like a layer here, there's a layer there, and there's a layer right here.
Yeah,
And
that's
you can
really
see the line
chopped
right
to
there.
pieces.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's like a jigsaw puzzle, man.
I know I'm
This,
used to a bigger Hulk, but even the big Hulk image, Hulk doesn't look very big.
he wasn't this gigantic guy like Keown drew him and
Oh.
Byrne drew him back in the day. He was just, he was a little bit bigger and thicker than normal. But
Okay.
you know what this is? Then I'm looking at this photograph. This right here, I think, is stat paper that they glued on here, and she drew on that. That's why it's still so white, and the other stuff is yellowing.
Okay, they did that all the time. They even showed us how to do
Yeah.
that at the Cuber School. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, now check this out. This is, of course,
wow.
the famous cover to Spider-Man 122, the death. This is the death of Green Goblin. Gwen Stacy, of course, died at the end of on 121. This is Gil Kane inked by Romita.
Wow.
I know. And it was just like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, dude, I can't, it's amazing that they just had, pardon the pun, that they had just had that sitting there hanging on the wall.
Well, just look at how the logo's treated so much better too.
Mm-hmm.
This is now the 70s, right? This book was
yeah, this is 70, 74, I think.
Yeah, so just look how technically tight and
no, 72.
Yeah, look, even like it just looks better to the eye because it's even the logo is how the logo's treated and everything about it with
I'm getting
the company logo and stuff.
I'm getting called out for my spoilers.
Spoilers.
I ruined Gwen Stacy's dead. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Wait, how in which series? How many times have they relaunched Spider-Man? How many times have they killed her?
Yeah, and how many times she come back, right? Bought this issue off the spinner rack back in the day. How about that, Henry? You're a little bit older than me then.
Wow.
Because this predated, my first issue was 138. So it's a couple years after this that I got my first Spider-Man book. Henry Jeremick saying Gil Kane needed Romita's inks. Yeah. I mean, it was a nice combo, but I'm a big Gil Kane fan. Okay, now check this out. You've got they had the 3-page sequence where Gwen Stacy dies. They had the original art.
Wow.
So the Green Goblin flies by, knocks her off the Brooklyn Bridge. So she's falling to her death. Spider-Man gets her. But look at that little snap sound effect right there that lets you know she broke her neck. And he's pulling her back up. And he's like, he thinks he's saved her. And then the next page, look at that great face.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Romita went in and redrew that or if that's Kane, but there's a nice Romita flavor to it. I know Romita inked this issue, but so then he's like, "You're okay, I saved you," and she's like, "No," and then Green Goblin.
Look at the way she's just
okay.
hanging there in his arms.
Yeah. The lifeless body of the girl he was going to marry. This was tragic, man. This really made me sad when I was a kid and I read this. Because I loved Gwen Stacy. I was like, yeah, man, marry a hot chick, Spider-Man, do it. And then
I never read it.
Oh,
never read it. Never saw this before. Well,
okay, now look at this.
That's not the right time.
The big splash page. You're the creep who's going to pay. You killed the woman I love, and for that you're gonna die.
And she's hanging in his arms. He's holding her by. Her dead body is just.
Yeah, I mean, this is
great.
brutal. And look at this. They didn't show you the title of the story on the first page because they didn't want to ruin the surprise shock ending. So here it is. At last, we can tell you the title to our tale, though it's one title we'd hope we'd never see. We call it The Night Gwen Stacy Died.
It's amazing. It's amazing someone owns those 3 pages.
I know. They're worth a freaking fortune.
Yeah.
Then look at this.
Whoa.
First appearance of the Ghost Rider, Mike Plug. They had that hanging up there.
Wow.
Is he alive or dead? A legend is born.
Holy cow.
One thing you could always count on from Marvel was just melodrama to the hilt, right? It was just like everything was so overly dramatic. It just like, you just had to buy it, as a kid.
I can't believe how much of the artwork is just the title.
Yeah. It's like, dude, it's almost half the book. It's almost half the cover.
That's that still stuns me. That stuns me just like looking at it going. Yeah.
Well, these things were the way they were displayed. You know, kids within the spinner racks, they'd pull those comic books forward. The only thing you could see was the logo at first.
Yeah, yep.
And so it had to be something that would make you go, "Ooh, Ghost Rider, what's that?"
And
you know?
Yeah, it had to be big. It had to be big so you could see it. You could see the title on the spinner rack. Yeah,
Evil One says, "No excuse, Rob. They reprinted these issues to death." So they're calling you out, man, for not reading up on this stuff.
I'm a Todd McFarlane, Eric Larson guy when it comes to Spider-Man. I'm not into I'm not into the early Spider-Man stuff. I don't even like Spider-Man. So I mean, I like Spider-Man a lot more than I like Peter Parker, but honestly, I like McFarlane Spider-Man.
Okay.
Really, yeah.
You're one of those 90s kids, man.
I am one of those 90s kids.
This is a page from Daredevil #1.
Wow.
Bill Everett.
And he had a yellow costume, right? Yellow,
right? Because they dressed him like a circus performer, you know, like a acrobat,
like a dork.
Yeah, exactly, like a dork. And it wasn't until issue 7 where he went all red and actually looked cool.
Yeah. Wow. Page 18, huh? You wonder why page 18? Is that just? I mean, that's not the first page where he finally puts his costume on, is he?
Yeah, it is.
You mean there's 17 pages of him not in costume for the first issue?
The origin, man. Well, I think he goes out like, I'm trying to remember. It's been a long time since I read this, but I think he kind of went out like Spider-Man and kind of his own sort of made up get up thing, and and then he
like a mask that covers the nose and the eyes or whatever.
Yeah, and then he kind of made himself a costume that actually reflected who he was. But yeah, they did the whole origin, man, where he was like gets hit by the car and the chemicals poured on his eyes and then he was blind. And then he started getting senses. And then, so Random says Wally Wood had some early DD issues. He did. In fact, issue number 7, which is he fights the Submariner and he goes to the red costume for the first time. That's a Wally Wood issue.
Didn't Gil Kane do a bunch of Daredevil?
No, well, yeah, later in the late 70s.
Yeah, later. Yeah, okay.
Gene Colan did it for a long time.
Oh, that's who I mean. I mean Gene Colan.
Yeah.
Because he's infamous for some art dealer selling his pages for like hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and Gene got like $30 a page from the guy and stuff.
Yeah, there's some unscrupulous dudes. Okay, now you must recognize this cover.
Of course I do. It's Mike Zeck, man.
I know that's like one of the greatest covers of all time. They got the original just hanging there on the wall. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I got to assume that's John Beatty inked that, right? Would have had to have been.
Yeah.
It's got to be Beatty.
Wow. That is one of those iconic images from the 80s too. So that's hundreds of thousands of dollars at a heritage auction.
Zeck recreated this so many times. He finally said, "I'm not doing it anymore." He just quit. Says, "Don't request this because I'm not doing it anymore." So that was there, and I was just like, "Whoa!" Then, of course, how about this Silver Surfer #1? Now, here's the interesting thing: you can't see it in this photo. Oops, sorry. You can't see it. You can't see it in this photo, but you could see some of down here, the splotchiness in the black. And this is, of course, you can see the white out here for the stars, but you could see the unevenness of the black. This up here, though, was really flat and even, this black up here by setting all the spaceways. And I looked at it really super close. And this right here is all statted from here up. But the cut on it is so clean, you can't even tell without really, really looking. And but this is original art here. And then this up here is all stat. That's why this black is so uniform and even, where this is splotchy. You can't, like I said, you can't tell in this photograph, but you could see the
I can see it. I can see the variations.
Oh, you can? Yeah?
Is that where the ink actually looks brown? Like really old ink, it goes brown.
Well, no, it didn't discolor, but you know how you get lighter areas of black and where it almost, like a watercolor kind of thing, because it's not as intense or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's not real super smooth. Like you can get super smooth with, some acrylic and stuff if you really work at it. But this just looked like, a typical inked page with black on it, where it's got kind of those different intensities of black on it. Evil One is confirming John Beatty inks on the Captain America #8 annual, which we suspected.
Well, I think you could see JV. You could see he signed a JV on.
Well, there you go. That's a dead giveaway. All right, now check out these giant like statues they had there.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
so if I stood next to that, I would probably, my head would fit underneath his outreached hand.
Oh, really? It's that big.
So I'm like
Did they say where it's
6'2".
from? Was it from like Marvel Studios?
No, they didn't have anything of. They just had it like this. And then they had like these backgrounds. I mean, everybody would go in and was getting pictures and stuff. And
Yeah.
so I'd have to wait till them to clear out. I guess I should have got one with like somebody in there so you have scale. But yeah, I mean,
Yes.
it was probably 8 feet tall with the base.
That's cool.
But yeah, so that was like the Hulk exhibit. They had that there, right? Then they had an FF exhibit that had this. You could go sit in the chair with the thing.
That's great.
And over to the right of his hand, over here, they have a copy of FF #1 in a glass case, and then several pages of early FF art. It was a burn cover. I mean, I got pictures of all of it, but I didn't want to, go through like 50 photographs on this.
Oh, I really want to see the burn cover.
Oh, that's the one thing you'd recognize, right?
No, I recognize the Zach. I recognize a few of the pages.
The window here was live motion animation. So like Iron Man would come flying up to the window and wave, then zip away, and Spider-Man would swing by. It was really a cool setup they did. But yeah, so and then you get picture with Spider-Man.
That's cool. When I was at that museum, it was a dinosaur exhibit.
I went and saw the dinosaur exhibit too when it was here, and that was incredible.
Was awesome.
But this was, dude, like I've got probably 50 photographs of original art that was there. There was like a Galassi Master of Kung Fu. There was
wow, Shang-Chi.
There was a page from Luke Cage, Hero for Hire, drawn by Tusca, inked by Billy Graham. Not the preacher, but the artist. There's
That'd be
shot.
funny.
Man, I thought I downloaded it. There was a shot of this Kirby. Oh, there it is. I wanted to share this too.
Yeah, my brother is a banker in Portland, so he's a
Oh, really? So you get up here quite a bit. Well, next time you're up here, give me a
call. No, I've been there once.
Oh, okay.
I remember I'm a terrible person. So.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I forgot.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Hey, check out this Kirby poster hanging, and I'm not sure if this is Kirby's actual desk or not. They didn't have anything verifying whether it was or not.
Oh, dude, that would have been awesome.
I'm not sure. It may be.
If it's not covered, like it's not like protected in any way, it's not. It's just
that's probably true. It's probably the prop. But anyway, look at that.
Wow.
So this is the original they had hanging up there.
And it's a giant poster size artwork, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he drew the poster artwork.
Yeah.
Like real size, actual size.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
And then they had some like Kirby memorabilia.
Mm-hmm.
Little thing about Jack Kirby. Funny thing is they had all these plaques and stuff where you could read about the artists and but it's like I knew all this stuff,
Of course you did.
I'm a student of it. So I didn't waste my time reading stuff I already knew. I just went around and took pictures of everything. Little Kirby drawing of himself, I guess there. Look at that. So yeah, that was really cool. And they had a big Stan Lee wall of, all of his movie appearances.
Of course.
Like, Stan the man, baby.
You got to give him credit for being so good at his own PR for himself.
Yes.
So
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, how can you shit on that? No matter what he did. Some people argue about what he contributed to comic books. He contributed Stan Lee, the character, to comic books.
Yeah. Well, and he did write the dialogue, and I'm sure he had a lot to do with most of the stories, at least talking them through with the guys. And then Kirby would go and, I was just, I was listening to an interview with John Romita that's on YouTube, and basically saying how this whole, and we've all heard the story, but how the Marvel style started was that they had guys coming in for work, and Stan was the only guy there when, because when they're doing like Fantastic Four and stuff, they were about ready to go under. They were just, he was just throwing crap out there, and suddenly it's a hit. So he got all these guys that need work, and Stan's writing all the scripts. So he didn't have scripts done, and someone would come up and go, "Hey man, I need the next issue of whatever." And so he would call them into the office. They'd sit and talk about it for an hour. Then he'd send them on their way. they'd draw the entire book, bring it back to him, and he'd dialogue, and that's the only way he could keep up until he got more help. And so that's how the Marvel style originated. And of course, it's really a great way to work once you get used to it. Not having done it for years, when I did the book Damage for DC on those new heroes or whatever, that line that Dan DiDio brought out, I did a book called Damage, which is like that Hulk type character. He's like part Hour Man, part Hulk. And
I didn't realize you did that.
Yeah.
What year was that?
Oh God. Well, let's see. I've been out of DC for 3 years now. So probably 2018. Okay. Probably somewhere in that neighborhood. And they were doing all of it Marvel style because Dan wanted it to be more art friendly, more artist prominent than. So like in the credits, it's like I got first billing and the writer Robert Venditti got second billing, which was really kind of bizarre. But so Robert would give me these 10-page plots, right? And there's a scene where he squares off with the Justice League and he fights Superman for like 10 pages or something. And all I got was fight scene starts. It needs to be here at the end. Now fill it in. And so I would just wrote the entire, not the dialogue, but the whole plot for that fight scene, for
That's
10
awesome,
pages of
though.
fight scene. Yeah, it was great fun, but I had to get my mind back into thinking that way because we're so used to getting finished scripts all the time.
Where it's 4 panels, draw 4 panels, blah, blah, blah.
David Brohawk finally showing up. I hope you got to see David, the slideshow from my field trip down there today. Yeah, I talked to actually David. I just got out of the exhibit and he called me. And so we were out there. I'm sitting there talking to him about the exhibit. And right after I got finished with it. And I said, yeah, no original art from you or me. But
well, you would hope that at least if there was your artwork in there, Aaron, you wouldn't have to pay for the ticket.
You would think, but
you'd be like, no, that's me over there. They're like,
yeah,
sorry, dude, we've been hearing that all day.
$30. Yeah, $30.
$30. Oh,
well,
that's
no, it's
great.
like when Marvel would do a T-shirt, right, with your artwork on it, and you're like, you had to go buy it at a T-shirt place at a convention or something because they didn't send me one,
Oh, they would send me a T-shirt.
Well, they did way back in the old days, like in the 90s they did, but post that, I mean, I had like some artwork from Planet Hulk ended up on a T-shirt. I didn't even know about it. I was walking by one of those big T-shirt towers at a convention. I think it was in Seattle. It was either San Diego or Seattle. I can't remember. And I saw this Hulk image. I go, wait a minute. I drew that. So I had to go buy the shirt just so I could have one.
Oh, they didn't even send you. See, like when I worked on Gambit was 98 or something. They sent me one T-shirt. And I took it and it was in the plastic bag forever. And then I hung it on a hanger and it sat in my closet for, all these years. And then like 2 years ago, a guy emailed me, said, hey man, do you have any of those old Marvel T-shirts from the 90s? I'm like, yeah, they sent me my Gambit T-shirt. He goes, what do you want for it? So I sold it. I'm just like, this is weird. It's just been hanging in my closet the whole time. But
well, hey. I've got a bunch of those. I never wore them because I didn't want to wear them out. And it's like, it's the only one I've got, right? So I got a Deadpool shirt and I've got, they used my Deadpool -1 cover on and the Hulk shirt, which they didn't send me. They sent me the Deadpool shirt, but they did not send me the Hulk shirt. And then I've got a Firestorm shirt that, what was the name of that place? Graffiti. They're out of business now, but yeah, I contacted the guy and said, hey, I want to buy a couple of these. Actually, I ordered the shirt and he saw my name on it. And he goes, Aaron, why are you ordering this? I'll send you. This is Graffiti. Saying you drew the picture. I'll send you the, so he sent me 2 shirts, which I thought was pretty cool.
Is that from your Firestorm covers for that one book we all worked on?
Yeah, Legends of Tomorrow is when I did the Metamorpho miniseries and they ended up putting it in that Legends of Tomorrow book. And so I did.
So no one would buy it? No one would see it?
They wanted to make sure that no one would see it and no one would buy it. Exactly. And they succeeded.
They did. They did a great job at that. I don't think I've ever seen any numbers on the royalties for that book. Like if I do, it's got to be in the 35-cent range or something. Like it's got to be at least like, hey, this quarter you made $6 off of something for it to at least pop out from the list. I don't think I've ever even noticed any.
Were you on that?
Must be
Did you work on that?
I worked on Firestorm. How dare you, sir? I inked it.
I didn't know. I wasn't reading it. I just worried about the thing I was doing. Who's the artist on that?
It was a Brazilian guy, and he went on to do more work, and that was the end of. I did Firestorm. I did an issue of Scooby Doo, and they said, "Hey, your exclusive contract's up, and we're not going to re-sign you or even give you any more work, but we'll cut you a check."
Thanks for that's very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, and then they cut me a check because they didn't give me much work that year. But it was so odd, dude. That guy, he got his friend to ink himself really, really poorly. And I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? But the Brazilian guys, they don't give a shit,
No.
He's not getting a full page rate, and his buddy probably is getting $50 a page to ink it. And so he's inking it with a marker or whatever.
So you and I, if someone brought up a Legends of Tomorrow book, we could both sign it, and it would be.
Yep.
I'm going to go pull that out and look at it after the show and see how your stuff looked. Give you a hard time.
Well, sure.
Look at this random task. Random task says Aaron walks in. Yeah, kind of a big deal. I did that one time and got humiliated, and I will never do it again. Never. I was buying some old comics from a dealer, and I knew the guy. Again, another story of someone I knew who forgot me. But anyway, this guy was a dealer. His wife was working this store, and he wasn't at the table at the booth of this con I was at. And I was going through getting these books, and I was talking to her about trying to negotiate a deal or whatever. And, I made some comment like, oh, your husband gives me a professional discount, something like that. Right. She goes, really? Who are you? And I go, Aaron Lopresti. Just blank, had no clue. And I go, I drew one, I'm drawing Wonder Woman. And she's like, woo. And I was like, okay. Just humiliated myself. I will never do that again.
I was working on Red Lantern, and issue 1 had just come out, and we moved to our house. So I was in a new area, and I'm like, oh, let me go see if there's any nearby comic book stores. I'll do a signing since it'll just be a couple miles down the road. I went to the nearest comic book store, walked in, introduced myself. The person just looked at me like your story, just stared at me. I told him my name, stared at me, and then I said, I worked on that book right there, and it was, like recommended books by the people who work at the comic book store. I go, Red Lantern, I eat that. And they just looked at me and they're like, oh, that was it. I just turned around. I walked out of the store. I never walked back in the store ever again. And it was literally 2 miles from my house. And I'm just like,
it takes one time for that to happen, and you never do it again.
Yeah. I'm like, literally you could go, oh, I don't know Red Lantern, but one of the artists on one of these books that we're recommending, maybe I should at least call the boss to the front since I don't, or anything. And I just was like, I just looked at him like, dude, I don't really have an ego, but the tiny little ego I have, you just like threw on the ground and crushed.
Yep. Exactly.
I'm trying to introduce myself to the area because I just moved here, and you're just like, yeah, who cares, dude?
We used to do that because if you go in and they know you're a professional, like at a comic shop, they give you a discount, right? And so you always,
hey, let's do a signing. Yeah.
But then they're like, then they don't know who you are and they don't care, and you're like, hey, there goes my discount, and I'm humiliated. So Danky Frankie says Aaron should be a criminal because no one ever remembers him. That's true.
Oh, that should be, dude. You could be a bank robber. You don't have to cover a mask or anything.
That's right, because they'll never remember me. Shelley's husband. Yeah, that's how I should introduce myself. And then
no, then they will remember you.
Exactly.
You can't do that. Yeah, you just say you're Aaron. Hey,
that's
I'm Aaron.
I'm Shelley's.
I'm here to rob this bank. And
well,
then they
Shelley,
just like
every time we went into a store when she was with me, we'd be in New York or wherever, and she'd go, he drew that, and I would be like, oh, and she always got a kick out of embarrassing me like that. So, and usually
my
no
wife
one
does
cares,
that. Yeah, my wife is like, my husband has a really cool job. He's a comic book artist, and they're like, oh, he is, and then they'd ask me a couple questions. I'm like, yeah, sometimes it's great.
And they go, what do you draw? They say then you go, well, who are you? And you tell them the name, and they're just like, and you go, Hulk, Miss Marvel. They're like,
Oh, see, I just say I worked at Marvel in DC.
Okay.
I just
never give them the title. Yeah, that's probably good.
Yeah,
that's
and they just go, oh, that must be a lot of fun. I'd be like, sometimes.
sometimes not. All right. We got some more segments we got to do here. As
Okay,
much
here we
fun
go.
it is, it's just a BS. But we have
Yep.
this little thing called Precious Moments. And being at Easter and everything,
Yeah.
I'm going to show you some precious moments from yesteryear. And you'll recognize this, probably most of you. But anyway, let's take a look at this.
On your feet. Get them going.
That, of course, went from the longest movies ever made, Ben-Hur. That is when Chuck Heston, as a slave in Rome, meets Jesus for the first time. And a very important moment in the film. Winner of 11 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Director, and Best all the other stuff.
Aaron.
So here's an interesting factoid. In Portland, Oregon, down on Broadway, they built, because this was like shot in CinemaScope, Ben-Hur was, so it's like super long or super wide. And so it needed a special screen. So they built, it wasn't the Paramount, I want to say, was it the Broadway Theater? Might have been the Paramount, I can't remember. But they built a movie theater specifically to show that movie in. Now, after that movie ran, they showed other stuff in it, right? But they specifically built a movie theater in downtown Portland just to show Ben-Hur, because they didn't have any theater with a screen big enough to handle it. So
wow.
We used to go, in fact, we saw Star Trek 3 there. Me and my mom did many, many years ago. And it was still around. They tore it down since then.
You missed the joke.
There is
you should have taken that clip and then clipped in from the Planet of the Apes movie.
Get your hands off me.
Exactly, dude. Come on, man. How did you miss that?
Not on Easter, because I'm not going to make fun of Jesus, especially on Easter Sunday.
Oh, you wouldn't be making fun of him. You'd be making fun of
Chuck Heston.
Yeah. I almost called him Huston. Chuck Huston.
Chuck Huston. Let's see. Huston. David Alicia says, my cuz gave his short boxes. It had your books in it. How about that? His cousin collected Lopresti books. Cool.
Of course he did.
Somebody
is a fantastic talent.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. Some guy, he calls himself the Collector. He lives up in Canada, huge collector dealer, has 5 copies of everything kind of guy. He bought this huge collection for $5,000 and was been showing it on Twitter. And it's like, he's got like a first Thor in there, a first Iron Man. I mean, just, he made his $5,000 back. And, but in one of the things, he showed a bunch of books that he took out of a long box, and a couple of them were books that I worked on. So there you go.
Nice.
I've made they were Amazing Spider-Man. So there were nothing they bought because of me. I just happened to be in them, but
yeah, you're a part of the run. Yeah. I love it when it's books I worked on and they're like, oh, check out this old book. And I'm like, oh, book.
What?
Dude, it's like 95. It's from 1995. What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, 25 years ago. I guess it is an old book.
Yeah.
Brohawk Williams says, I like the 10 Commandments better than Ben-Hur. And you know what? So do I. But Ben-Hur is still a great movie. I love the 10 Commandments. Love it. Hey, Aaron, Despero was wearing your wolf shirt in one of his latest videos. Your stuff is getting around. Yeah, baby. Ooh, I don't know who Despero is, but no,
neither one of us
name. He does. He has a YouTube thing. I don't know. Does he do like horror movies or something or whatever? But that's cool. Okay. So, Rob, people come to this show anymore when they do come. And of course, we're fighting with Ethan right now for viewership. But when they tune in for this, they tune in because they want to know what I've found out about Bigfoot. Now, do you have any? Are you a believer in Bigfoot? Do you think it's a bunch of nonsense? Where are you at on the whole Bigfoot thing?
When you look at all the different species on this planet, there is actually, I see the photos all the time on Instagram. There's this little ape who's like 2 feet tall, that seriously, if you took him and just made him 7 feet tall, there's your Bigfoot. So if that little ape 2 feet tall looks just like Bigfoot, then why can't we have a species that's smart enough to be afraid of man, who's living in the Himalayas or, in Canada, who's just smart enough to stay away from us?
So you're open to the idea, is what you're saying?
Oh yeah, totally. Of course.
Right. Well, I'm always looking for videos that are going to prove his existence. So let's start the segment. And I'll get your opinion on it. I got some expert videos here. We'll take a look. That, of course, was a Ken Kelly creepy magazine cover. But as you notice, the name of the segment is called Not Finding Bigfoot, because we've yet to be convinced. But we'll see. We'll see what the chat has to say. Let's see what Evil One has to say for $5. He says, I watched The Greatest Story Ever Told. That's, of course, a story about Jesus. From 1965 for the first time today. It wasn't bad and had star-studded cast. The ending could have been better, though. I don't know. I can't remember where they ended that. If it was right after his resurrection, or did they have time after his? I can't remember. But Mel Gibson supposedly is working on a follow-up to The Passion of Christ, which deals with the resurrection and Christ's 40 days after he rose from the dead. So I'll be interested to see if that actually comes about. But all right, here we go. Let's see. This one I call Bigfoot Waiting. Now, this is just a still photo. Not waiting, but wading. Now, Rob, when you see him in Florida or Louisiana, he's not Bigfoot. He's called a skunk ape, which is basically the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So basically this monkey creature that allegedly lives in the swamp, which makes no sense why a hairy monkey creature would live in the swamp. But here we go. Let's take a look at it.
It protects him from the sun.
I see. Do you see him right here?
Yep.
There he is. Just soaking. That looks so fake to me. I can't even stand it. But
literally looks like a gorilla exhibit that someone's threw in the.
But this was on the news down in Florida about this being, and then because they found tracks later near here, and they sent an investigative reporter to investigate, and of course she found nothing. But
of course
this guy took this. This actually looks like he's got like a white streak on his forehead and beard. It looks like he could be on my Graybeard studio show. Brian Suddenly Old says that's a wood carving. It could be. It's probably what he did. He just set it up out there and took the picture. And of course, typically you can't get an in focus. It's got to be fuzzy. So, once again, I find more evidence that really doesn't support anything of value, but we have to investigate all photographic evidence and then be the judge ourselves.
Now, I have a question for you. Have you shown the $6 Million episodes as reference? Because it's a great explanation of what Bigfoot was.
Well, he was an alien, but he was like a robot, right? An alien.
He was a robot protecting to keep people away from the aliens. So why can't Bigfoot be that? Bigfoot could be that. He could be just a drone, just to scare us away, so we don't notice the aliens. You might be onto something there. I'm going to have to revisit the old that episode. It was one of my favorite episodes when I was a kid. David Brohawk Williams says, back to the 19 Commandments. Yul Brynner was a living Jack Kirby character in that movie when he was armoring up with his arms out. That was Black Bolt. There you go. Okay, let's take a look at now this one. Okay, well, I'll just let you see it. Then you tell me what you think, because I have my own, which I think is a fairly obvious opinion about this. But okay, so you got some kid. I'll set it up. You have some kids out in the woods. They're going to set off this big blast, and behind that log right here, you'll see something get up and take off. Okay. Okay. Yep. So let's watch. I had to mute the sound so I didn't get busted for. Watch it up here. Yep, I'm looking. See that?
That's a dude in a t-shirt, isn't it?
That's a dude in a blanket. Yeah.
How in the world can they even anybody say that this is Bigfoot? Look at that.
Yeah.
That is a guy. He's wearing a t-shirt, right?
Yeah. Yep,
He's a blanket in his arms or something.
Yeah. It's their tall, skinny friend.
Yeah. And they're like trying to say that that's Bigfoot. And I'm like, at least if you're going to do that, try harder. Okay.
Yeah.
Watch this explosion in the fire, though. This is the best part of the video.
Oh, they threw a can of paint in there or fix a flat.
Well, they had something in there to blow up, and it caught that tree on fire, but they almost started a forest fire. But this is like way better than just the Bigfoot thing. It was just like, check this out, man. Oh, it's gonna blow. It's like, wow. See that tree singed up there? It's like,
yeah.
So anyway,
someone was just creeping on him. There's some dude was like, hey, who's in my backyard?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a dude in a t-shirt, I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's all that is.
Someone's saying Paul Taylor is our resident biologist, says, ooh, Bigfoot now knows spells. He cast a spell on that fire. Yeah.
He made an explosion to distract him for his getaway.
Evil One for $2 says, if we were made in God's image, then what's Sasquatch's deal? Well, I mean, if there were a Sasquatch, you would consider him an animal, not a human. So that would be be my guess, right? It'd be like
he's an offshoot,
North American gorilla or something, you know.
Yeah, great ape.
Yes,
or great ape.
David Williams, of course, saying it wasn't the 19 commandments; it was 10 commandments, but his finger hit the wrong button. So that's an artist for you with that dexterity. Brian suddenly old. That's a drunk naked guy. They just woke up.
Yeah, like a homeless guy sleeping in the woods.
Yeah, that looked like a guy wearing. Yeah, I agree. It didn't. I mean, but they're pushing this, and the narrator was like, "Oh, could this be Bigfoot?" I'm like, "It's a dude in a t-shirt. Are you kidding me? How is that even remotely?" It just ticks me off.
Well, it's almost like whoever's pushing it gets paid to throw out the most ridiculous, so no one believes any of it.
I guess that's true, right?
They do the same thing with aliens and everything else. They're even doing that with they're making a big deal about Elon Musk's Starlink satellites falling from the sky, and they're making a big deal about it like it's that it's because they're not making the satellites well enough, and it's because of electromagnetic radiation is greater right now because solar activity. But they don't want to say that, so they're just like. They infer in the article, oh, he's making shitty satellites.
It's half truth. We live in a world of half truth.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a skunk ape encounter. This is, I believe, in Florida as well. Let's take a look at this. This is actually another video.
Is this going to be someone's coat hanging from a tree?
No, there he is right there. Oh, looks like he's getting up, but you can't. Oh, yeah, he got up and started walking away right there. But that's not really very conclusive, but there he is. Skunk aping around in Florida.
That looks like they took that old video of him walking through the field and just put it back behind the trees. Or it's someone who bought a Chewbacca costume and they had him walking around in the woods.
Well, that's the thing. It's like no one can ever get a clear shot that's even in focus. And yeah, I mean, that's definitely somebody, rigged up. And the reason they have them behind trees and stuff is because that way you can't tell how bad the costume is.
Yeah, exactly. And they're just trying to get clicks on YouTube or whatever.
Right. Now, Citizen Ronan says clearly real. Ryan suddenly old Florida gorilla, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, there's another. It's Kelsey Shannon. Sasquatch might be a genetic experiment made by the Nephilim, says Danky Frankie. So look, there's a lot of possibilities in there. David Williams, Kelsey is not an animal. You guys need to be nice.
Oh, yeah, he's a little bit of an animal. He's like 20%.
Yeah, he's 20. Yeah, that's probably fair. 20%. Yeah. All right. Now this one I have labeled as Commie Bigfoot because this is actually taken from our friends in Russia. weren't communist anymore, but I guess you'd
No.
consider them fascist, right? And, close enough. Here we go. Russian Yeti, they say.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah, could you make the video shittier so that you can't tell it's just your buddy in the woods walking?
Is there any way you could have made this video worse, please?
If it was snowing really hard, it would make it.
It would have been, yeah.
At the very least, if you want to say you've got a Bigfoot video, you got to make it so it doesn't look like someone in a big coat, walking behind a bunch of trees.
Now, for all the weeks I've been doing this segment, there's like maybe 3 or 4 videos that you could look at and go, "No, it's not bad. That could be something," But I would say that 97% of these are so obviously fake that I think Shelley and I are going to go out in the woods here in Oregon and do our own Bigfoot video. We should.
Yeah. Well, I think you could get like the Chewbacca costume if you buy it in November. You can probably get it for like $100 or so, and just put it on, and she can film you running around with it. Just make sure there's plenty of trees behind you, poor lighting, and shake the camera.
Shake the camera a little bit, and you're good. You're gold, baby. You're gold.
Yeah. All the footage you could ever want.
Brian Suddenly Old says, "Okay, that's one real vodka-powered Bigfoot, man. That guy was hauling butt through that snow." So, anyway, that's all the Bigfoot I've got for this week. But once again, we're still skeptical here, but we're hoping. Now, have you ever heard about these things called skinwalkers?
Yes, of course I have. I believe in all of it. I do think that someone's paying you though, just to show us the worst Bigfoot videos.
Dude, those are the best. Those are the best ones I can
people
find.
Who don't believe us. Yeah.
I'm gonna start looking at the skinwalker thing because I see a lot of those videos popping up out, and check that out. So wait a minute. See, now they make fun of me as being like too hairy and stuff, and I'm a werewolf and all this kind of stuff. And this is more that same nonsense. I don't take kindly to that.
Poor Lopez. That's not fair. Don't do that to them.
No, it's just not nice. What do we got here? Kevin Thomas says, evidently there's talk of Bigfoot down the road from me at Mammoth Cave. Well,
where's Mammoth Cave?
That sounds like, Kevin, where are you at? What part of the country are you in?
Is that Montana or Pennsylvania?
Is there why would you pick those 2 states?
Because I know there's a big cave network in Pennsylvania.
Oh, there is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just making a wild guess. But Mammoth sounds more like Montana, so I guess both of them.
Now we went into the when I was a kid, we would our vacations. We never flew anywhere because we didn't have any money, so we'd load up the camper, right, and we'd drive cross country. My dad's mom and dad lived in Nebraska. And so we'd go visit them in Nebraska, but that always meant going through Wyoming and usually like Yellowstone Park or something. And then we would go through, coming back, we'd go up through South Dakota, and we saw Mount Rushmore one time. And then they got the Black Hills of South Dakota, right? And there's like wind tunnels in there and caves in there that are really kind of cool to go in. But I never saw Bigfoot. I was always looking as a kid, but never saw any.
Where is it where the Indians fought the aliens? In that someplace in that area too, like where you're just speaking.
Well, are you talking about where they have like those weird pyramids? And it was like they found skeletal remains of giants or something like that.
Yes.
Wasn't that in Ohio?
Ohio? What? Well, maybe I'm thinking Arizona. I just know that there's Indians or Native Americans who said that the giants were eating some of their people, so they eventually got to the point where they fought them, and they locked them in a cave. They covered the front of the cave and started a fire, and they all suffocated to death.
Oh, well, that's pretty resourcekiller, actually. Kevin Thomas says he's in Kentucky, so those caves are in Kentucky. He says Cave Network.
Oh, Mammoth.
Snake Killer says Cave Network. Fetterman's Empty Head.
Now, where are the giant salt mines? Do the guys know where that is? Where they literally show the semi trucks because now they use the giant salt mines, the open cave network for storing food and stuff. Different
It's not got to
companies.
be in Utah, doesn't it? I don't know. Salt mines.
I don't know. This is what happens when you're on YouTube at 2:30 in the morning and a video pops up and you go, oh, this looks interesting. And then, you don't remember it for 3 months and then it just pops in your head while you're on a live stream.
There you go. Well, they have the lizard men supposedly live in Utah. Because they did those radiation. They did the A-bomb testing out in the desert and turned the lizard into humanoids, and they live under like shopping malls or something now. They have this like network underneath there in some shopping mall in Utah, I believe, is what I read someplace. Tom Rainey turned me onto it. We were at a big story convention for DC Comics, and I was sitting at a table with Tom Rainey, and somehow you started talking about the lizard men of Utah, and I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I never heard about this. So, oh yeah, they live underneath shopping mall or whatever. It's like
shopping mall. Why specifically a shopping mall?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember what the connection was, but yeah, supposedly.
I think I would try to make the story more interesting by not saying it was from radiation testing, but like they literally lived there for thousands of years.
Supposedly, the Smithsonian took the bodies of the giants.
Yes, I heard that too. Yeah, because if you look at old stories and old photos from like late 1800s and early 1900s, that shit was all over the place. Like it was like, oh, look what we found. We found a giant skull, and now everyone acts like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's crazy.
We know the truth. It's out there. Paul Taylor, of course, our resident biologist, says pretty pathetic aliens if they couldn't even get out of a cave.
Well, if it's like fourth generation, they crash on Earth, and you know how to, like, think about it. We know how to start the car, but if our car had like a total breakdown, we can't fix it.
Not
like literally.
My grandfather could have, right?
Yes, but if you took one of us and put us back in time and be like, oh, dude, you're gonna rule the world if what you know now, and we put you back in the 1700s, I'd be like, why would you think that? I'll be dead in like 2 weeks. Like, just because I know how to drive a car doesn't mean I know how to build one out of wood. Like the knowledge doesn't work that way. So you can imagine aliens are the same way. Like, hey, dude, I just bought this spaceship. I don't know how to fix it. Or that's why, that's why I have a maintenance plan on my spaceship. Yeah. This ray gun will work great for the first 2 years, but
then when it runs out of ray juice, I don't know how to refill it. Right? Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then you end up giants in a cave.
That's right. Smoked out by Indians. Exactly. Yes. Paul Taylor says they needed a food court. Of course, he's referring to lizard men. That's why they live underneath the mall, so they can get easy access to food. Now, see, if I went back in time, I would go, first of all, I'd go to like one of these stamp and coin places and get currency for like back that period of time. And then I'd go back and just buy old comic books and come forward and then sell them all and be rich. Keep a couple, like Captain America #1, I'd keep. But
okay, here's a question, because I've thought about this, because I'm always thinking about the angles.
Yep.
If you bring those comic books back in time, if you bring them back to where you're from, those comic books are only a couple months old.
Right. Yes. So people would think they were fake?
I don't know if they would think they're fake, but they would be in such pristine condition.
Oh, they'd be worth Well, but
they would be.
Dude, it's not unlike the Mile High collection where it got stored in this basement in Colorado in the cool temperatures and lack of light and never touching it. There's like, he's got comics in that collection that are like 9.4s from like 1941. Yeah. Like I've got a copy of National Comics number 26. Okay. It's got Uncle Sam. It's by Reed Crandall did the cover. It's got Uncle Sam rolling up his sleeve. It's an iconic cover, white cover. The Mile High copy of that book, and that's 1941, 9.6.
Wow.
So technically, if they were stored correctly, they wouldn't really age either. So you could always say, hey, you kept them in perfect conditions. And this is because you couldn't deny the authenticity of the book just because it was only a few months old. It would still be that book.
Yeah, just because it was premium white, white paper and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So
I think
that's
I
what
would just to be safe, I would just stick them in a hole. I would seal them up. I wouldn't want to bring them back with me through the time machine. I think I would put them someplace where I know they would be safe, so I could come back and dig them up. For whatever reason,
then they would be aged and.
Yeah, like they could still be in pristine condition, but they literally have been part of the time stream.
So you're like Billy Tucci. When Billy Tucci sort of like figured out how he's got a plan for the zombie apocalypse. It sounds to me like you've thought about this. You got a plan for if you go back in time and get old comics, this is how I'm going to treat it. But you have to be careful because there's so much renovation and stuff. It's like, where are you going to bury this that no one's going to find it in 80 years before you come back and get it?
Yes, that's true. Yeah, you'd have to pick a spot where because there's the spots because of like with cities and suburbs are always expanding. You can't go, you actually would have to have a plan. You would have to know like, no one's going to be building a house here or no one's going to put a strip mall here.
Right.
But you have a time machine. And we've seen the time machine movies where you literally could watch. So you could watch on fast forward in your time machine. Like, look, no one ever builds a house here. No one puts a highway through here. This is perfect.
I'll bury it right here. And how much extra sediment over like 80 years would be there? And you'd have to remember exactly where the tree was, and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully no bear come by and dig up your Captain America #1 and chew it to pieces.
Well, I would assume that if you have a time machine, you also have other very high-tech technology. Yeah. So I don't even think I'd have to bother with comic books. I think I would just go back in time to take over the world. So that would be my plan.
That's what's so ridiculous about me is I would go back and buy old comics. When you
and
can do anything,
go right back.
I'm back there buying old comic books. Thinking about the future, man.
You're this weird guy dressed funny buying all these Superman comics off the street.
It's funny. When I was a kid, we used to go into stamp and coin places and you could get like old money, from even as far back as the Civil War, right?
Yeah.
So, you just have to go, okay, let's see. If I'm going to 1938, I'm going to buy Action Comics #1, about, 20 copies, whatever. And so then you just go to a stamp and coin and go, okay, I need money minted prior to 1938.
Well, with today's technology, you could probably counterfeit that money pretty easily. So you wouldn't even have to go buy that money.
Are you assuming that because I have a time machine now, I'm a counterfeiter as well?
Well, yes, of course. So I'm assuming that you're going to do whatever you want.
Yeah, if I'm smart enough to make a time machine, then I can build anything, basically.
I'm thinking you found the time machine. You're just smart enough to figure out how to use it.
Okay, but then, how am I? I'm not smart enough to counterfeit money, though.
Well, I imagine that if you look at the way money from like 1930s was made, I'm assuming you could probably make it on a printer as of today.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, you have to
I don't know when they decided to start using that rag paper or whatever. I don't know how long they used just like paper.
Bigfoot could dig up your Captain America #1 and chew it up. That would be my fear.
Like Bigfoot is actually a time agent, and he's there to make sure people don't mess with the time stream. So as soon as you left, Bigfoot digs it up and burns your comic books. So when you go back to that spot, there's just a note from Bigfoot saying, how dare you, Aaron? How dare you try to manipulate the time?
Oh my gosh. Wait a minute. Now, why wouldn't my money work? If I went back current money wouldn't, but if I went back, if I went to a stamp and coin and bought money dated back in that period of time, that's the money from that period of time.
Yeah, so that would work. Of course it would. Yeah. He's not paying attention. He's playing on his phone while he listens to YouTube.
Aaron would have to work on the docks for a few days and earn some money so I could go out and buy comic books, then get back.
Oh yeah, that's what you do. You'd be like one of those guys. Shit just came in. I need my comic book money.
Yeah, go work in the coal mines for a week. I'm like, no.
You'd be the guy who would get,
Yeah, I'd get killed in the coal mine.
Would collapse on you.
Paul Taylor for $10 Canadian. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that very much. He goes, you guys are thinking too small. Take a list of lottery number winners with the biggest jackpots back in time and turn those in every so often. And then I could just buy the comic books now.
I just said I would take over the world. He just said we're thinking too small, and I said I would take over the world with the
So
technology.
you totally go Doctor Doom, is what you're saying.
Oh, I'd totally be Dr. Doom. Because I would make the world better. You know, in what I think is better from my perspective.
Yeah. Do I have to spell this out? We're having a money problem here. No, currently you can go to a store, like a stamp and coin store, and they have old currency that they from the 30s or the 20s or whatever that you collect. I just buy some of that, and then I would go back into the 30s and spend that money. That's what I'm saying. See, I think that's
I'll be right back.
Rob's like, I can't take it anymore. Why did you bring me on this show? Or invest in stock. Look at you guys. All I'm thinking about is this kid in me, like, wants to go back and buy old comic books. I'm terrible, man. There you go. That's right. A benevolent dictatorship is, of course, the best form of government, but you can't ever find a benevolent dictator. That's the problem. See, this is the stuff that Back to the Future has already talked about, and Futurama. Well, okay. Well, I guess so. We're kind of a rerun of that stuff, right? Just bring gold and silver back. Yeah, that'll work. Bigfoot, time agent. We may be onto something here. Aaron, how much do you charge for us to use your time machine? Well, you'd have to be fully vetted because I'd have to know what your intent was, that you weren't going to go back and, screw up history or something like that. So, I'd have to vet you. Evil One says, I'd rather have info about future Powerball numbers. Yeah, I guess that probably would make sense, right? In a bigger picture sort of way. Ron Martin says, hi, Aaron. Is there a Wraith of God Second Chance and Wraith of God Bloodhunters cover A campaign option? Ooh. No, the Second Chance campaign is not part of the Bloodhunters campaign. They're two separate campaigns. The reason I did it that way was, one, to avoid shadow banning, which I've successfully done on the Second Chance campaign. And also I wanted people to get the Second Chance or the second printing out and filled before the other book comes out. But I don't know. It's not doing as well as I would have liked to have it done. So maybe when it ends, I may go in there and attach Wraith of God Second Chance to the Bloodhunters campaign and give you the option of buying both of those together, and then just wait till the Bloodhunters comes out, and then you'll get it. So I don't know. There's some options. I need to kind of take a look at it. And
that was a good question, though. That had never occurred to me when you.
Kevin Thomas says, "What? That's why you put them in a safety deposit box in the past and pick them up in the future, like Back to the Future 3. If you found a bank, you'd have to find a bank. But wait a minute,
it doesn't get remodeled.
Yeah, that could be problematic. And then would you pay in advance for like 80 years? Go, here's,
Yeah. Yeah. So
now it's pay for 100 years to hold this. And you're kind of like, what? And they go,
yeah. Or you set up you go to a law firm that is still around, and you set it up, and then you have to set up payments, and you got to create a trust. Believe me, I thought about it all the way through. It's just easier to find some place where you can dig a hole and you bury it and come back to it. Yeah, literally, would you build a pyramid, fill your pyramid full of stuff, then so you can come back?
I also want to use Aaron Lepresti's time machine to see Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, and Richie Blackmore's Rainbow live. I could have done that because I was there in the 70s. I was a rock and roll guy, but not like that kind of, like, what would you call those? They were heavy metal before they were heavy metal. Yeah. Before there was heavy metal.
Now, that type of thinking is more of like the time traveling tourist, which they talk about, like with a Civil War photo with somebody weird.
Yeah.
In the photo that doesn't fit.
In there? Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like a guy who's wearing glasses.
A sweater vest. Yeah,
come across strange.
Sweater vest, right.
Or Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, exactly.
Nicolas Cage is in a bunch of those old photos.
Maybe I could go back in time and introduce you to Bernie Wrightson.
Oh, so you can forget about you all over again. It was like, I travel through time so Bernie can forget me.
Exactly. Hey, Gary Martin's here. Everybody, Gary has a book. Gary, oh geez, what's the name of it? The ink art of Gary Martin. It's called anyway. Gary, put it in the chat, will you? What the name of your book is? If you go over to Indiegogo, he has an early sign up right now for that. You can drop in your email, and that's going to be a really, really cool book. I'll do a better job of promoting it on Graybeards on Wednesdays because I'll actually have prep time and to put it in the link. But anyway, so you want to check that out. Speaking of campaigns, let's take a quick look over at our friend Rob Hunter's Death Raider one more time here. There you go.
There it is.
He's telling me there's only 7 days left, give or take. And
7 days. 7 days of the campaign left.
Oh, there we got a few more backers there. Thank you very much for that.
Fantastic. Sneaking into 13K. So
there we go.
That's very cool.
I
always knew it was going to be a slow builder, so that's fine. I always get exactly what I want in comic books, and just not exactly the way I want it.
You get what you want, but not the way you want it.
Exactly. So, which is not a problem. I already have the plot written out for Death Raider 2 and Death Raider 3. Like I had hoped this was going to be a 100-pager. Like I put up on Twitter the race to 100K for 100 pages. You know, that's just fun little marketing on Twitter. So the book will be 64 pages, and then and then I'll take the story that was going to be in Death Raider 1, and that just gets pushed into Death Raider 2.
There you go.
You know,
very cool.
Adapt or be destroyed.
Adapt or be destroyed. Kind of like
I'd rather adapt.
Kind of like the Giants, right? They did not adapt, and then they ended up getting destroyed.
They could have been friends. They could have been friends with those Native Americans. They probably could have helped them with technology. They probably could have taught them stuff. Instead, they just wanted to eat them.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's what happened. Then you get smoked out in a cave. That's pretty much how it goes.
Exactly.
So anyway, this is live on Indiegogo. Is this shadow banned or no?
No, it's not, because I don't have it in comic books. I have it in books and watches.
Oh.
So I changed the category.
Well, see, maybe that's why you're not getting as much run, is because it's in books instead of comic books.
I don't know, because if it was shadow banned, then there'd be nothing. No one would be able to find it.
Well, that's true. I suppose that's right. That's a good point.
It's a catch-22.
Yeah,
after this, I am going to put it up on Crowdfunder. Or is it Fund My Comics? Fund My Comics.
Yeah, Fund My Comics.
Luke Stone. Yeah, I'm going to put it on Luke Stone's.
At this point, it's like I'm thinking, put them up on all the platforms, and maybe if you put them on enough platforms, one of them will, the combination of all of them will get you to your goals, right?
Exactly, because then it's more eyeballs, and as long as I can keep everything, I can keep juggling everything and keep track of everything, which, that's just different emails with different folders. It should be fine.
Right. Also, I've got Wraith of God Blood Hunters, which is shadow banned, but you'll find the link to Death Raider and to this campaign in the description of this video, so you can just press on that and then zip right over there. I want to make everybody aware. Oh, look at that, 928. Thank you so much. Got another backer. If we are $72 away from this card that everybody gets for free, the Dan Lawless Wraith of God trading card. So we just need one more backer to get us there. We got a week left on these Keown shirts, so don't delay on those. If you want to get one, order it, because this will be your last chance. Tons of artwork. These are the covers, of course. Wraith of God, in case you don't know, is kind of like a Batman of the Old West. He's a monster hunter, has kind of a traveling bat cave, if you will, that's like this little portable cabin that's being covered carriage that's, pulled by horse.
It's not on a train? Why isn't it on a train?
No, that's the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
No, he just has his own little, bat cave, portable bat cave. And
cool. Like a stagecoach.
His partner here is Esther. Looks like she's, looks like the vampire Count Korvac has her under his spell. And these are the brides of Korvac that are attacking the Wraith here on this wraparound cover. So this particular episode kind of is a homage a little bit to Hammer films of the 60s. That's, the Vampire Brides and all that kind of stuff. So it's good, good monster fun. Got a Bisley cover, got the wraparound cover, got the Tales of Suspense cover that sort of features Garbage Man and the Nightclub, which are backup stories, along with Kit Carter now, because that was a stretch goal and we added Kit Carter. This is, of course, the tribute cover to Tomb of Dracula #1. Was a great Neil Adams cover from 1972. So we're kind of revisiting that a little bit with my take on it. And it's in full color. There's a little Garbage Man art for you. Some Nightclub art for you with the giant elephant guy. Come on. Doesn't get any better than that. So it's just good, clean comic book fun. So if I can coerce you into backing, I will do so. I know most of you have backed already, and I appreciate it very much. These campaigns, dudes and dudettes, we cannot do it without you. You guys are like the producers of these movies, if you will. And so we're reliant and grateful for your backing and support of these projects. This is the Second Chance, second print campaign. Got some more action on that. Excellent. Thank you so much. The main draws here are the new cover. That's the color version, the black and white version. And then, of course, there's in some interior art. And then, of course, the Dale Keown werewolf pencil print. Those are the main draws. But we do have some leftover goodies from the previous Wraith of God campaign. You can get all the trading cards and the sticker set. The print, Wraith of God Roughs Volume 1, that has just 48 pages of layouts from the issue. So you can kind of see the layouts and then go take a look at the finished artwork and see how the changes were made and that type of thing. Garbage Man trade paperbacks, Power Cube trade paperbacks, all signed by me. These have already been sold. I got some more original art I'm probably going to stick up on this campaign here soon. But anyway, there you go. The link for this is in the description of the video. And again, so appreciative of you guys supporting our campaigns and really making this possible.
And anybody curious about newer Death Raider artwork? That's in the updates. I included that in the updates, so you can see Staff Sergeant Moore with his legs blown off. You can see the first page of Team Core, stuff like that. It's a bunch of stuff that I put all over Twitter and Instagram, but it's also in the updates, so you get to see some of the latest artwork for Death Raider.
Excellent. Kevin Thomas, Aaron, did your website ever get remodeled? Yes, it is up and live right now. All the pages aren't done. Like the store section is not done, so you still can't order, but we're working on that right now. But I want to say my blog is active. My portfolio page is active. The Empire Comics page is active. My bio is active. And then, of course, there's links to the campaigns and stuff on there. So at least you can go and get an idea of what's there and what's coming. But yeah, it is active right now. That's aaronlopresti.com. Simple as that. Can take you right there if you want to check it out.
And I've looked over at comments, people talking about other artists doing Death Raider stuff. We'd have to hit stretch goals. So we haven't even hit the first stretch goal. So, it's not in the budget right now. It's just wanting the book to be, colored, lettered, 64 pages finished before, anything else. Now the book could go crazy. Somebody could, share it and someone else could see it. And, all of a sudden it's at 100K. Then there's all these stretch goals that I don't have on the page, but I've already come up with. So, and that's when we would see different things, trading cards and all that stuff. So.
I did, Slavic one. Thank you very much. I hope your Easter was great too. Paul Taylor is saying it needs more cowbell.
Always needs more cowbell.
Yeah, I can't.
Did you have ham? What did you have, Aaron?
We haven't eaten yet. We're gonna have salads. Is all.
What?
We're kind of, we don't have. The thing is, man, dude, we don't have kids at home anymore. So it's like my daughter's in college, my son is married, and has his own house, everything like that. So it's just kind of like we don't do, unless we're having a major event where we know people are coming over and going to stay. Josh and his wife came by for about an hour and a half, and then they left, and I went to OMSI to get all those great photos of that original artwork. So we're what I did was we have an air fryer,
Yeah.
which actually works really well. And I air fried some chicken 2 nights ago, and we have leftover chicken. I'm going to chop it up, put it into a salad.
Mhm.
I had my 91-year-old mother hard boiled some eggs, cracked the whip on her. Said, Grandma, get down there and hard boiled some eggs. And so I got some eggs to chop up, put in the salad with, some different cheeses, and it'll be good.
Oh,
With some
nice.
fresh lettuce. So that's what we're planning on. Look at that. No devil. I love deviled eggs.
I
Man,
do. I like deviled eggs also.
But dude, I'll eat like an entire tray of deviled eggs like in an afternoon. So I have to be careful not to.
Well, then you just go bench for 2 hours straight.
Yeah, well, with my messed up shoulder, man, my workouts.
Here comes the excuses
No,
why
I'm
the
a
big man
slob.
doesn't work
Dude.
out anymore.
Dude, torn rotator cuff. I had surgery 2 years ago, finally healed up, and then I hurt it again. So I'm just like, I'm a mess. I'm an absolute
From
mess.
benching heavy or saving a child from a burning car?
What? No.
You got to have a good story. You're a comic book artist writer.
Oh my god.
Even a child from a burning car.
I almost turned into the Hulk. I'm going there right now. If you type in www.aaronlopresti.com, it will take you right to my website. In fact, I'll show you right now. Because I'm a giver, Rob. I'm here to help people.
That's exactly how I feel. That's
there it
the
is,
whole
right
my
there. Now
project.
check this out. It scrolls like this.
Oh.
And this is the home page, and then the Wraith of God image stays behind. See?
Oh, that's nice. I like that.
So you got the portfolio page, you've got the Empire Comics page, you've got the store, which is not open. It'll say under construction if you go there. So this link right here will take you right to the Indiegogo campaign. This when it's done, will take you to the store, which will have multiple items. It'll have the shirts, the hats, the shot glasses, my greeting card set, prints, things like that, sketchbooks as I get new ones, that type of thing. Now we can go visit this. This is the Empire Comics page. I think this is kind of cool, just in the sense that there you go. See Empire Comics. And you scroll down and it kind of tells you about what Empire Comics is. And then it says Wraith of God Bloodhunters, explains the book, and there's a link to it. And the Wraith of God graphic novel second printing, the link to it. Garbage Man trade paperback, it explains what that is. And so those are kind of the three main things that are out of Empire Comics at this point. And as I add more things, they will get added to this page. And when these campaigns are over, we'll put a link in here. They'll take you right to the store so you can buy back issues, as long as they last. So, and then up here, you've got these buttons like, let's see, portfolio. See, if I click on the portfolio, there's the portfolio page. And now I can show you comic book work, illustration, paintings, or commissions over here.
Nice.
So this has like just tons of my covers over the years. Needs to be updated, but I'll get to it as I get to it. But this is just all like a bunch of different cover art that I've done over the years. Like there's some Archie stuff I'd like to put on here. And of course, get my Wraith covers and things like that up there would be cool to see. But so you just bounce around and then let's see here. Like you say, oh, Aaron, are you a painter? Yeah, I am. There's some of my paintings right there. These are all watercolors. This one's acrylic right here. But this is acrylic. This is watercolor and acrylic.
I like the apey guy with the fish.
Yeah, when you're talking about a 2-foot tall monkey that ran around, this is Little Bigfoot. It's from my from my Fantastical Creatures book I did. Actually, I was working on this when I cut the deal at CrossGen with Andy's publisher for, remember Andy had done the art of drawing comics or whatever.
Yeah, and he's like on like 7th printing or whatever.
Yeah, and I talked to this book never made it past the first printing, but it's called Fantastical Creatures Field Guide, and you can probably find it on Amazon for 10 cents. But it's got a bunch of these characters in it, and it's actually a really cool illustration.
Dude, it looks great. Yeah, it looks great.
So, and this guy's in it. He was this is the Thunder Troll. This is a watercolor piece. So I was working on this while I was in Florida. I didn't finish it till I moved back to Oregon. But and this
is it like a children's book, or is it more like young
it's got very sort of it's humorous, sarcastic write-ups, descriptions of these characters. So I mean, there's nothing that a kid couldn't enjoy it, but it's written for adult sensibilities. But it's anyway, this is a children's book thing. I started this when my daughter's 21 now. She was like 6 when I started this. And I still haven't finished it, but this was from a children's book project that I want to do called A Monster Ate My Sandwich. So
that's cool.
And then, of course, here's my bio. Handsome picture of me taken a few years ago, but I'll use it till I drop dead.
I've noticed that about a lot of people.
Yeah, you get a good picture, man. You stay with it until you're I don't care how old you are.
Like people using photos from like 20 years ago and stuff.
Yeah. And there's a blog page and, you read more. And so I just, so anyway, yeah, there it is. It's aaronlopresti.com. So you can find it like super easy if you just type it in.
Someone in the chat said that they couldn't find it with Google.
I know. That's why I proved them wrong. A new copy of Fantastical Creatures costs $32. Well, see, now it's because it's got such a low print run. It's a collector's item now.
Oh,
you missed the really cheap stuff. I got like 4 or 5 copies, I think, sitting here. So, if someone wanted one, just contact me and I'll sell it to you for $32.
How dare you?
No, I probably sell it to you. No, I think I was charging $20 for signed copies,
So now it'll be 40 signed.
No.
Plus shipping.
I won't jack up the price. I won't do that. Yeah. Who's that young guy in the picture?
Oh,
I know.
Oh,
anyway, Rob, that's the show, everybody. I feel bad because normally we have about 150 people on here, but Ethan was stealing our audience. So hopefully the people that missed it will come back around in reruns and they'll get the link and visit your campaign as well as mine. So I want to thank everybody for joining us in the chat. Thank you for the super chats. Like I said, we couldn't do this show if it wasn't for you guys here to support us. Next week, we'll be back to our regular time, 4 o'clock Pacific time, which we moved it up to avoid people streaming over us like Ethan and Shane. And so hopefully next week things will be back to normal. And but I wanted to do it this week because 2 weeks from now, Shelley and I are going to be visiting my daughter at college, watching her dance program. So I won't be able to do that show at the end of the month. Well, it'll be the 22nd, I think it is. We won't be doing a show, but we will be here next week. And then the week after that, we'll be gone. And then the following week, we'll be back again. But anyway, this was great fun. Rob, having these conversations about CrossGen and then just,
in art. Yep.
You're a good, fun-loving guy. We'll have to have you back on here just for a good conversation, if nothing else. But let's remember the links to the script are in the description of this video for our campaigns. Get out there and back Death Raider by Rob Hunter. Some people call him Rob Machine Gun Hunter. At least I do. And it looks like a really, really cool book. We need to get support. So you guys get out there and retweet it. Help people find out about Rob's book and mine too, if you don't mind. And, there you have it. So you guys enjoy the rest of your Easter evening. Have a great week ahead. Of course, look out for Comicsgate Kings. I assume Rob and I will both be on there tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah.
We got the Professionals Tuesday night, and I think Art Taber is hosting. And then Wednesday, 1 o'clock Pacific time, Graybeard Studio. I will be posting on Monday the poll to find out what we're going to draw. And so anyway, thank you guys all. We'll see you soon. And good night.